Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching, yes, the Yankees Entertainment and Sports Network.
Well, if you're going to be a Yankee fan, you might as well be initiated early. You've got to know the team's history. So this little guy is a Mantle fan. Nothing wrong with that. And as a Yankee fan, he knows, or he should, that his team has won 9 of 13 head-to-head with the Red Sox, including Game 1 of today's split doubleheader, which they took 9-2. Yes presents New York Yankee baseball, the Yanks and the Red Sox. With Paul O'Neill and David Cohn, I'm Bob Costas. If you weren't with us for Game 1, here's the quick explanation. Michael Kay needs maybe another week before he's ready to return to the microphone. Ryan Ruocco, who has done so well filling in for him, has a family event this weekend. So they go deeper into the bullpen to come up with me for both ends of the doubleheader. Game 1, all Yankees. They win it 9-2, and DJ LeMahieu just won't stop. 3 more hits, 2 of them homers.
Well, you're right, Bob. He is always in the middle of the offense here in New York. So far, so good. And he does it by going deep the other way in the first inning, giving the Yankees a 1-0 lead, and pretty much just broke it open here with his 17th. That came in the 4th inning. So DJ LeMahieu just goes on and on and on. Big part of the Yankee offense.
Tonight's pitching matchup is brought to you by People's United Bank. It's a spot starter for the Red Sox, Brian Johnson, and an opener yet again for the Yanks, Chad Green.
Well, Chad Green has excelled in the opener role for the Yankees, and you could see maybe down the stretch run or even in postseason that the Yankees may employ this strategy, and Chad Green is their #1 choice. He has been dynamite in this role, and over his last 6 opening outings, he's unscored on in 9 innings pitched and 18 strikeouts and only 2 walks.
And overall, the Yankees are perfect when they use an opener. 8-0 with Green, 1-0 with Tarpley. Now, a different subject. This is 2019. So, naturally enough, another day, another Yankee injury. With more on that, here's Meredith Marakovitz.
Welcome back to Yankees Baseball on Yes. I'm Meredith Marakovitz. It's time for this evening's injury report brought to you by Montefiore Doing More. It is not the news that the Yankees were hoping for when it came to Edwin Encarnacion. He has been placed on the 10-day IL with a right wrist fracture. He had an X-ray after he was hit by a pitch in Game 1. It was clear he was in obvious pain. That X-ray came back negative, but a CT scan revealed the fracture. He'll remain in New York City when the Yankees hit the road. He'll be reevaluated within the next 7 to 10 days, and the Yankees feel as though they'll have a better time frame after that. I spoke with someone within the organization who told me right now surgery is not on the table for Edwin Encarnacion, so that is good news. Exactly what type of time frame they are looking at, that remains to be seen. So with no Encarnacion, it'll be DJ LeMahieu playing first base tonight. Also, Mike Ford has been recalled from AAA. He will likely be here at some point in time during this game. Plenty more to come here on the Yes Network when we get back. Bob Costas will be joined by Paul O'Neill and David Cohn. First pitch coming your way after the break.
Yankees Baseball on Yes is brought to you in part by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Papa John's. Get any large pizza with any toppings for just $12. And by the New York Lottery. Get out there and play. Well, Chad Green is good to get out there for an inning and maybe 2. No more than that. But this has been a strategy initiated by the Rays. Others have picked up on it, and it's worked well for the Yanks. Here's the lineup for the Red Sox. In 4 games at Fenway Park, the starting lineup, by the way, brought to you by Lexus. In 4 games at Fenway Park against the Yankees, the Red Sox have scored 44 runs, 10.5 per. In 7 games in the Bronx, they've scored 19 runs, less than 3 runs per game. We'll get into that a bit later. Held to 5 hits in Game 1, losing 9-2. Last night, losing 4-2, held to 3 hits.
Well, the difference between last weekend and this weekend, and puts this guy on the mound in the boogie down. Going to toe that slab, Paulie, and what, 36-8. You don't see that slash line too much in pitchers, but you're going to start seeing that more, and his numbers have gotten progressively better. Notice only 9 walks against 53 strikeouts. And let's tell you a little bit more in our pitcher scouting report, brought to you by our local Honda dealers. And he really, in his last 6 opener, this is the opener shutout. His last 6 opening assignments, he's pitched 9 innings, given up 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 18 Ks. I think that's why they're going to keep running him out there. Those are pretty good numbers. And just like Bob said, maybe 2 innings, best case scenario if the first goes well. And 40-4, that's 40 strikeouts to only 4 walks. That's his last 21 games, plus the 6 openers.
It's entirely possible that we could see this approach for a game or 2 in October.
Agreed, especially the state of the Yankees rotation right now, and it's all hands on deck come October.
We saw an opener last year in the playoffs against the Yankees. Didn't work. It can happen.
Mookie Betts playing both ends of the doubleheader, though he got a few innings off at the end of the 9-2 loss for the Red Sox this afternoon. The reigning MVP, what a year last season. 346. He slugged 640. Led the league in runs with 129. Hit 32 homers, swiped 30 bags, won his 3rd Gold Glove. You got to go some to win the MVP in a league that includes Mike Trout, but he did it.
You need a long at bat to get all his accolades in. You know that once you start reading that line?
Hoping he wouldn't connect on the second pitch. 1-2.
And after all that, he went out and bowled 300, Paul.
Oh, yeah, a couple times.
Yeah. How about that? After losing the first 2 of the 4-game set here, the Red Sox, since winning the first 3 last weekend at Fenway, have now lost 6 in a row. Alex Cora got tossed early along with his starting pitcher Chris Sale. Mike Estabrook was the plate umpire who threw both of them out. The way it works now, in a doubleheader, you have 5 umpires. The guy who works the plate in game 1 does not work at all in game 2, and the plate umpire in game 2 is held out of game 1, so he's fresh. Bruce Dreckman has the plate in game 2.
That's the broadcasting rotation you were looking for, Paulie.
I got 3, do a few innings here, maybe a game off there. Who knows?
You'd be up in Molinos and White Plains right now.
Easily. We got to tell the legend folks they fed us between games. They did a great job. We're all ready to go here at the stadium. If you don't know, wonderful restaurant down there.
The 3-2 pitch struck him out. Here's the Yankee defense presented by Geico. Little different look in the outfield. Tauchman gets the start. Maben moves from left to right. Hicks, who didn't play in game 1, is in center. Breivik Valera, rookie switch hitter, is at second base, starting at second both games of the split doubleheader. Here's Rafael Devers.
Yeah, you got to figure that Aaron Boone had an idea of his starting 9 actually for the both games, and then all of a sudden Encarnacion not available might have put a little wrench in his plans for game 2.
Just hope a state trooper doesn't pull over Mike Ford on the way here.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, supposedly 2 hours and 7 minutes from Scranton to Yankee Stadium. We'll be tracking Ford.
I'll tell you one thing. 207, that's on Waze. If I'm just getting called to the major leagues, it might be a buck and a half, an hour and a half.
Well, I don't think necessarily that Mike is doing the driving himself.
Yeah, like, well, you know what? Coming out of the minor leagues, he might be bombing up in a VW. You don't know.
2-2 to Devers with Xander Bogaerts on deck.
One thing that this opener strategy does for the Yankees, especially against the Red Sox, is it matches up well because of how good the top of the order is for the Red Sox. Really, the top 4 hitters are as good as anybody in the game, and then Benintendi's been swinging well. So if you can get these guys through even one time in the order, that's a big deal. Then you can guarantee that Mookie Betts maybe faces 3 pitchers in 3 different at-bats or 4 different at-bats.
And Devers strikes out.
Well, I tell you what, Coney, from him early in the year till now, the velocity, the life on his fastball, it's amazing how he took that demotion, went down, worked on it, found it, just threw this fastball by one of the better hitters in the American League.
He went to 3-2 on Betts, did the same on Devers, fanned them both.
98 on the black on a 3-2.
That's something to always keep in your back pocket, huh, Cody?
Xander Bogaerts 1 for 9 in his career against Chad Green.
You're at 14 pitches, Coney. I mean, you decide 2 innings on pitch count usually. What do you look at? 40 pitches, 35 pitches he can go?
He's stretched out enough to get up to 30 to 40 pitches.
Here's his 15th. 1-1. You know, when you talk about the use of an opener, now the Rays did it for different reasons than some others. They pretty much invented the approach, and others realized that it makes sense in certain situations. Some teams use it just because they're short in their rotation. They use it as a stopgap. But last October, Craig Counsell got the undermanned, in terms of their rotation, the undermanned Brewers to within a game of the World Series. And he simply said, I need 27 outs. I don't care how I get them. That makes sense for most teams. Maybe not for the Astros, maybe not for the Dodgers, but it makes sense for other teams if you've got the right personnel.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it comes down to a choice in a big game. Do you have a guy that you can count on for 6 or 7 innings, which there's a handful of the guys in all of the game that you can, or you go to the opener and hope that your bullpen can hold guys.
Counsell last October didn't even call them starters or relievers. He referred to them as his out-getters.
One of the 27 he needs.
A high pop on the infield. Urshela right on the line takes it. Well, so far so good for the opener approach. The Red Sox go in order. The starting lineup for the Yanks is brought to you by Lexus. LeMahieu again at the top, followed by Judge, Torres, Hicks in the cleanup spot. Urshela had 2 more hits in game 1. Cameron Maybin in right field. Tauchman gets a start in left. Higashioka caught game 1. It's Romine in game 2. And Breivik Valera in the 9th spot at second base.
And that lineup will face this left-hander. And on the season, just 2 starts. This will be his 3rd start. You see the numbers on a small sample size. 22 hits in 14 innings. Let's tell you a little bit more in our pitcher scouting report, brought to you by your local Honda dealers. And he was the 2012 first-round pick by the Red Sox out of the University of Florida. His curve is his best pitch. He's not overpowering by any means, but really high-spinning, slow curveball, and the right angle, as you would suspect. Right-handed batters are the key against him in his career. Righties batting .297 versus left-handed batters only .207.
By going 3 for 5 in the opener, LeMahieu hiked his league-leading average to .338. And the 17 homers are a career high. He knocked home 4 of the Yankees' 9 runs this afternoon. Johnson working off the third base side of the rubber. An off-speed pitch is skied to right, and Mookie Betts is right there. The Red Sox defense is presented by Geico. Marco Hernandez gets the start at second base. Michael Chavis, who was played in the outfield, at third base, now at first base in this game. Bogaerts and Devers, their stalwarts on the left side of the infield. Travis, Benintendi, and Betts in the outfield with Jackie Bradley Jr. getting game 2 off, at least at the start. Here's the slumping Aaron Judge, 4 for his last 33.
I think Aaron Judge almost laughing. I mean, that ball right there just swung right through it. Kind of a hanging breaking ball.
Brian Johnson began the year in the bullpen for the Red Sox. After just 4 appearances, he landed on the IL with left elbow inflammation. Then when he came back, he appeared in just 3 games before being again rendered inactive for what they called a non-baseball related matter. It turned out to be an intestinal issue, some sort of infection. So he's been out since late June. This is his first appearance in over a month.
Which also would kind of concern you is the amount of pitches he's going to be available. Huh?
Definitely has to be on a pitch count. You see Nestor Cortez Jr., the lefty, who he's followed Chad Green several times.
Yeah, that's been the usual plan. 3-2 to Judge. Gleyber Torres had the first inning grand slam last night. Went 0 for 5 in game 1 today. A shot to center for a base hit. Welcome news for Aaron Judge.
Let's look at the game time weather presented by Bigelow Tea. And I tell you what, it doesn't get much better than this. Absolutely beautiful. 80 degrees. It's a beautiful night for baseball.
Not a cloud in the sky above Yankee Stadium. Sellout in game 1. Looks like something near a sellout right now for game 2. Gleyber's at 284 with 21 home runs.
Got to figure you're pushing what, 85, 90,000 people in and out of here in a day in Yankee Stadium. Pretty cool.
Bob piqued my curiosity in the first. I kind of want to see him banging heads now, you know, going in and out.
People wearing linebacker helmets in here.
With all these split doubleheaders, it has to happen eventually. That game 1's going to go 18 innings, and you're going to have people pounding at the gates. Come on, let me in. You told me to show up at 7 o'clock. Here I am.
Hey, buddy, you're in my seat.
That one floats in there at 77 for a called strike.
Yeah, Brian Johnson, not an overpowering lefty, soft tosser, uses a lot of speeds.
Two and two. Same pitch.
Well, neon green working on the spikes tonight, huh?
Full count.
See how Aaron Judge got off there awful quick when that leg went up. I'm like, hang on a second. Against a lefty, that's an easy move over there.
Judge is chased back. Held there by Michael Chavis. He's not going, and a high pop. Coming in from center is Benintendi, and he takes it for the second out.
And if you look at Gleyber Torres and his reaction, Brian Johnson is the kind of pitcher that you get frustrated because you get yourself out. He just does nothing but kind of get you off your timing, stay away from the barrel, and these are the 4 or 5 at bats you grind as a hitter because you know you don't get blown away by anything. Wow, that ball went right off the heel of the glove. That actually hurts when you catch him there.
So with Judge still at first and now 2 out. Soft toss over. Aaron Hicks steps in. Since he played the hero less than 2 weeks ago in Minnesota in that epic 14-12 game with the 9th inning homer, then the sensational game-ending catch in extra innings, he's hit a speed bump. 0 for his last 17 and 1 for his last 25. That stretch has taken his overall average down to 229.
It seems like this offense runs a lot better when Aaron Hicks is swinging the bat well. You know, he's a presence from both sides. Being a switch hitter adds a ton of balance to the lineup.
Johnson brings home the 1-1 pitch and misses for ball 2. Brian Johnson is not the world's speediest worker. Here's a shot to left. So Judge and Hicks, both of whom have been slumping, deliver first inning hits.
Yeah, great swing there. That ball is hammered to left field, and now you've got an opportunity with 2 outs. I tell you what, you grab a lead against Boston right now, they're going to be scratching their head on how they can stop this Yankee offense. Yeah, the StatCast says this was 111 off the bat, so no secret about it. That ball was hammered.
Like a Federer topspin forehand, right?
Gio had a double and a single in game 1. A 7-run fourth pretty much sewed it up for the Yanks earlier today.
Coney, I would think that, you know, from a wind-up point of view, you get your pace going, and then it seems like a lot of pitchers really slow it down when you get run. It seems like it'd be a completely different rhythm.
You see it a lot. Base runners slow it down. The distraction for the pitcher, the extra signs that you get from the catcher. Now with a man on second base, we saw him even throw over to first base with Aaron Judge previously 2 or 3 times. So there's just more to think about, more distractions for the pitchers. That's why you always say on the bench, get him in the stretch, especially a pitcher that seems to be getting into a rhythm in his windup.
Fair ball. Devers takes it to the bag, and that's that in the bottom of the first. No runs, a couple of hits, 2 are left. After 1, no score.
Time for today's conversation, brought to you by Toyota. The Toyota Prius is the official hybrid vehicle of the New York Yankees. Do you think Boston will stay in the playoff race throughout August? You can never count them out, especially with their offense, but with the rotation and bullpen issues this year, it is pretty unlikely. Follow Yes Network and tweet us your responses using hashtag YankeesPriusPrime to keep the conversation going. And guys, they are struggling right now. They actually had a players-only meeting in between games where the message was, come into tonight with a clean slate. Don't worry about the past. Focus on the present and the future. Take it 1 game at a time.
All right, Meredith, losers of 6 in a row, now 4.5 out of the second wild card.
1 game at a time, Meredith. I've never heard that before.
Paul, it's not cliche at all. In fact, I bet you never, ever said that as a player.
Oh, well.
David certainly wouldn't.
Everything's about process now, Paulie. Win the at-bat.
Since Jackie Bradley Jr. led off the 5th inning of Game 1 with a home run, the Red Sox have seen 18 consecutive hitters retired. The last 15 to finish Game 1 and the first 3 in the top of the 1st in Game 2. Which brings us back to this. In 4 games, it's only 4 last weekend, but in 4 games, averaging 10.5 runs a game against the Yankees. Here, averaging less than 3 runs a game in 7 games prior to this at Yankee Stadium. Coincidence or what?
I smell conspiracy.
Yeah, something's up, right? But I tell you what it is. It's all about controlling the top of their lineup. And in Boston, the first 4 hitters absolutely killed the Yankees. And so far, you know, to this point in the series, it's been they haven't scored in the first inning, which they were buried early in those first 3 games.
Well, Mookie homered in his first 3 at-bats last Friday, all of them against Paxton.
Well, George King, who's a beat writer, longtime writer for the New York Post, covers the Yankees, quoted an anonymous scout who saw that series in Fenway and talked about either somebody was tipping their pitches or they got the signs, or, you know, that's all it takes.
Fouled off by Martinez.
As if players of today are not paranoid enough with all the cameras on them and multiple signs with nobody on base. It's like the Truman Show out there.
Cinemaphiles appreciate the reference. A leadoff walk.
Yeah, he was just hoping to get through Martinez. I see Aaron Boone going to go right to Cortez. But he only leads Chad Green for 1 day.
Well, Benintendi had a long home run in Game 1. Historically, he's hit very well against the Yankees in this ballpark. So Aaron wants to go lefty-lefty, which makes complete sense. The BioFreeze fast-acting pain relief pitching change is coming up.
The MLB Ballpark app will complete your next visit to Yankee Stadium. Buy and manage game tickets, redeem special check-in offers, access exclusive content, and much more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today.
Well, here is Nestor Cortez Jr. Last pitched on Wednesday in a 7-5 win over the D-backs. Gave up a homer to the only batter he faced. Tim LeCastro homered on the 2nd pitch. Cortez threw. So if nothing else, he's fresh.
That's right. And I remember that they were going to try to hold Chapman back. The Yankees got that 4-run lead. First pitch home run. Chapman back up into the game, got the save.
Benintendi touched off a 436-footer in Game 1, which briefly tied the game at 1 apiece.
He's had some, you touched on it, Bob. He has had some memorable series here in Yankee Stadium. It's kind of like his swing fits this. He kind of adjusts, tries to pull the ball a little bit more. Tell you what he will see for this game. There was a lot of different arm angles from Cortez, especially to the lefties.
These Red Sox hitters, at least many of them, Benintendi's one example, J.D. Martinez on at first base now another, they have different approaches. Fenway as opposed to the road, distinctly different approaches. Well, Cortez comes in, justifies Boone's faith in him, strikes Benintendi out.
The thing about Nestor Cortez Jr. is you think you're going to see a junk baller, and he throws a lot of fastballs, and he really drops down and pushes it and gets riding action up in the zone. That one by our gun, 94 miles an hour, just on top of the zone.
Now Sam Travis, who's in left field for this one, bounces one slowly to Urshela. They get the force at second base.
Urshela's going to try to turn 2, but kind of thrown off target. They're very good decision. Just get the sure out. Don't worry about trying to come off the bag, transitioning to first base.
Yeah, Valera just put it in his pocket, which was the right choice. And it brings up Vasquez. Travis now at first with 2 out. Christian Vasquez has always been a very good receiver. So-so at best at the plate, excellent behind it, but this year he's taken a huge jump as a hitter.
Yankee fans kind of get spoiled when you see catching Gary Sanchez, the type of numbers production-wise that you see behind the plate. Well, you see some of these catchers from the other parts of the league. Leon coming into game 1, good catcher, don't get me wrong, but offensive numbers, down. All of a sudden you look at Vasquez, I mean, that's pretty good. 16 home runs, 47 RBIs.
Prior to this year, he had 10 career homers, 16 already this season.
Coney, you're right. Another fastball, but from a slightly different arm angle, which gives the hitter just another look. It's almost like a different pitch.
He's fearless out there. He will hesitate. He will quick pitch. Different arm angles.
I hope you'd see this, Bob. Every once in a while, he does a Louis T on just pause in the middle of his windup.
Not so much with a runner on base, right?
No, that probably wouldn't work well, then.
First base coach Tom Goodwin. A few words of advice for Travis, which would be the count is 3-2. You're taking off on this pitch and run hard no matter what. Hit softly into left. Here comes Tauchman, but he'll have to play it on a bounce. 2 on, 2 out.
Right there, 2 outs, probably the right decision. I mean, if you slide in, this ball gets by you. You give them a run. As good as you're playing offensively, make them go station to station. Make them beat you by scoring a run by a hit and not a gamble.
All of a sudden, in situations like this, the Red Sox, who lead the majors in runs scored, have not been coming through with runners in scoring position. They're 0 for their last 15 as a team in situations like this. Michael Chavis, a rookie who has shown impressive power. It isn't just that he has 17 home runs. A lot of them have kind of lit up StatCast.
Two close pitches, 2-0 count. All of a sudden behind. I mean, this is a big situation now from nowhere.
Two and one.
It is amazing, Coney, to your point, though, even in fastball counts, where a lot of lefties will go to the off speed, change up this or that. Cortez will challenge you, as he did right there. 2-0 fastball.
Deceptive righting action on his fastball, produced as a byproduct of his release point.
Fouled away.
Generally, in today's analytics-driven analysis, it's usually high spin rate or high velocity, one or the other, that generates vertical movement. Nestor Cortez Jr.'s got below average spin rate, below average velocity, but well above average vertical movement, up in the zone especially.
The view from the upper deck down the right field line. And the 2-2 pitch. Tauchman takes a couple of steps back and left and is under it. That retires Chavis and the Red Sox in the second. They leave a couple. No score as the Yankees come up in the bottom half.
Yankees Baseball on Yes is brought to you in part by Delta Airlines, the airline with more new planes flying out of New York City. Delta, keep climbing. By Toyota, the official hybrid vehicle of the New York Yankees, and by FW Webb, the official plumbing, heating, cooling, and PVF supplier to the New York Yankees.
As daytime gives way to twilight, beautiful vista out beyond the facade at Yankee Stadium. In the bottom of the second, Cameron Maybin will start it. He's at .306 with 5 home runs.
Maybe another guy that they brought in just to give a little opportunity to try to help, and a lot of people scratch their head. Boy, he has done nothing but great things, and obviously came down with the injury, but for a while he was a big part of this team.
Yeah, when he arrived, it was as a stopgap, so everyone thought, just give us a couple of weeks till we can get some people healthy. But he played his way into the lineup. Plus, he's such a positive presence in the clubhouse, and that's been true throughout his career, wherever he's been. And Johnson begins the second with his first strikeout of the night. So with the Yankees using the opener tonight, it brings us around in kind of a roundabout way to the Houston Astros. They already were formidable in every way. And remember, Altuve, Springer, and Correa have been hurt at various times this year. Now they're getting their core back healthy. Michael Brantley has been a tremendous addition for them. And these are the cold, hard facts. When it comes to whip, walks and hits to innings pitched, number 1 in the majors, Verlander. Number 2, the newly acquired Greinke. Number 5, Garrett Cole. 3 of the top 5 guys, and whip is a pretty good measure. And then behind them, you've got the veteran left-hander Wade Miley, who's having a surprisingly good year. Brad Peacock, who they can use in the bullpen or as a 5th starter. They can use Colin McHugh. Ryan Presley will be back shortly. And Osuna to finish. Presley in the 8th and Osuna to finish. They don't have as deep a bullpen as the Yankees, but the back end is very strong.
Very strong, and that side was also sort of fortified as well with the addition of Biagini and Sanchez, Aaron Sanchez from the Blue Jays in a separate trade. Interesting.
To this point in the season, Sanchez is having a terrible time. 14 losses, ERA over 6, but just 2 years ago, he led all American League starters in ERA. So if they can straighten him out, what a find. So it's no disrespect to what the Yankees have achieved, to the surprising Twins. I think people who have no rooting interest would say, as of right now, stipulating that anything can happen in a short series, and if you're good enough to win 100 games, you're good enough to beat anybody in a best out of 5 or a best out of 7. But the favorites right now to meet again in the World Series would be the Astros and the Dodgers. Tauchman flips that one into left for a 1-out single.
Again, Tauchman is becoming as Urshela and Mayhew, just putting the ball in play, lining the ball line to line. Looks like he gets more comfortable with every at bat and every game at this level. Ball up in the strike zone, and I've always said it's much easier for a lefty facing a lefty to see the ball up in the strike zone where you can just kind of slap it away.
Here's Romine. Taking ball 1. Since Tauchman's June recall, his OPS is over 1,000.
Had a pretty good month in July.
Yeah, his July numbers, 15 starts. He had 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, and hit .423. So, I mean, that's quite. I don't know if he wanted the calendar to turn.
Historically, in this ballpark, the original Yankee Stadium, the remodeled Yankee Stadium, the new Yankee Stadium, there's always been a premium on left-handed power. Of late, with a lot of guys led by Aaron Judge who can use that friendly dimension in right field by going to the opposite field. Tauchman runs. Here's the throw by Vasquez, not nearly in time. And Mike swipes second. So, even though the Yankees have been able to achieve historic home run totals, they are a little bit unbalanced right to left if this is your home ballpark. So a guy like Tauchman, of course, they expected Greg Bird to fill that sort of role for many, many years, and it seems as if his career is in jeopardy because he's perpetually hurt. A guy like Tauchman comes out of nowhere. He could fit nicely.
Excellent point, along with Didi Gregorius.
Yeah.
They give them that left-handed balance that you referenced.
In the air to right, Mookie Betts toward the line. It falls foul.
And another dimension Tauchman gives you see by stealing second base. It's just more options, you know, other than the home run. You saw it earlier in game one. Some speed,
a barrage of singles.
Yes, a couple stolen bases, getting guys in from third, and then there were a couple home runs that come along with it. But up and down the lineup, you can see this offense really starting to turn around.
And Tauchman's a good outfielder too.
Sure.
Can play center as well as the corner outfield positions. The 2-2 to Romine, but first Johnson whirls around, no throw. And of course, it's expected, even though the fans know better, that you're supposed to yell if it's the visiting pitcher. You're supposed to yell balk after something like that.
Never fails.
And it's never a balk. Shallow right. Mookie coming in, has time and makes the play. You know, you mentioned Didi missing both games, at least as a starter, available in an emergency off the bench with that injured ring finger on his glove hand. But Didi, in contrast to the right-handed Yankee hitters who so frequently have gone to the opposite field, he recently reached the 100 home run mark for his career. Every single one of them has been pulled. Every one. Even the ones that went to center were slightly to the right field side of second base. Breivik Valera, switch hitter, batting right against Johnson.
Yeah, big at bat in the first game. Got ahead 2-0 against Sale, and then just shot a ball to right field. Kind of started that big fourth inning.
The Yanks have 3 hits so far, all of them singles. So playing some small ball, to your point, Paul, both in game 1 and in game 2, after winning the first game of the series last night on the grand slam by Torres in the first, which was all the scoring they needed and all they got.
We had it on the screen earlier, but Valera, I mean, having a great year down in Scranton at 328. 11 home runs, 36 RBIs. That's good numbers for AAA.
But that shows you why he's here. You know, the Yankees had some options. Tyro Estrada really had a good showing earlier this year in a utility infielder role along with Tyler Wade. And the Yankees wanted to get a look at this kid.
You know, they're called the Rail Riders. With all the up and down, the Yankees ought to install a high-speed rail system between Scranton and the Bronx. Poke through the middle. It's knocked down by Hernandez, and Tauchman has to stop at third. So an infield hit for Valera.
But again, just the approach of putting the ball in play, and when things are going well as a team, it likes these balls find holes. They go off infielders' gloves.
The mound hurt him there as the mound slowed that ball down, or that gets through. Nonetheless, good play by Hernandez to stop it.
Yeah, those plays mean a lot, especially with 2 outs. You know, it gives a pitcher an opportunity to get out of this inning and getting an out. But the problem is DJ LeMahieu, I think think he likes to hit with runners in scoring position with the numbers he throws up.
Yeah, 427 with runners in scoring position this year.
That's all.
To complement his 337 average, lost a point when he flied to right his first time up. That 337 leads the American League, as he has most of the season. A line drive to right. Mookie Betts has it. Hit well, but Mookie tucks it away. A couple of hits for the Yanks. They leave two. No score after two.
As Bob mentioned, Didi Gregorius should be available in an emergency situation tonight, but in between games, he was taking some grounders, seeing how the knuckle of his left finger, ring finger, is feeling. I spoke to him after that, and he said it's still a little bit swollen, but it is, in fact, feeling better. He planned on hitting in the cage a little bit, testing it that way. The Yankees are hopeful they get him back in the lineup soon.
Thanks, Meredith. When you look at Didi working out in the T-shirt, you realize just how put together he is, just how strong he is.
Exit velo, you know that's a new shirt. That term wasn't even invented 10 years ago.
Marco Hernandez in the ninth slot saved a run by stopping a ball hit up the middle in the bottom half of the second. Leads off here in the top of the third. What are we expecting out of Cortez Jr. here? How many innings do you think, Coney?
Well, he was stretched out as a starter in the minor league, so he definitely can give you 75 pitches, somewhere in that neighborhood if things go well.
Hit sharply and by LeMahieu. Hernandez around first. He scoots towards second. It gets away from Maben, but he's going to stop at second base.
A lot of things happen on this play, Cody. First of all, a sidearm delivery. He stays in there. It's going to go as a double off of LeMahieu's glove. And I think Hernandez lost sight of the ball because this ball gets by Maben, where he probably could have got to third base. He'd already shut it down.
Actually, from that angle and with the naked eye from our booth, you can't really see along that sidewall. It looked as if it had gotten away from Maben, but actually he played it cleanly.
Right. It's all about the angle, knowing if it's going to hit the wall and come out or if it's going to hug the wall and go down.
Betts struck out against Chad Green to start the game. Another look. Wicked hop past LeMahieu into foul territory. Maben stumbled a bit.
Yeah, see, he was planning on that, hitting that short wall over by where the ball boy sits, and then it comes straight out to him. And then if it hugs the wall, then you've got to hightail it over there to cut it off.
In there, 2-1. Nestor Cortez Jr. has inverted stats this year. Lefties are hitting 300 against him. Righties 236. Make of that what you will. Mookie rifles one to left, but it's right at Tauchman. Hernandez back to second.
Again, it just looks like the Red Sox. It looked so easy last weekend where they're just kind of fighting themselves right now. I mean, if you're Mookie Betts, what do? You put a good bat together, you hit a line drive. It just happens to go right at the left fielder.
Brings up Devers, who, like Betts, struck out in the first. Devers will take a stroll during an at-bat.
A lot of those things are just little patterns of your routine. The things that Coney really thinks could help the game by keeping the patterns in the pitch and to make those patterns kind of go away and just play baseball.
Devers gets into one, drives it to deep right, and this ball is gone. Well, whatever he was telling himself on his little trip outside the batter's box, it worked.
Well, Cortez tries to get this ball in. And I think it ends up middle in instead of on the corner. Devers, the type of year he is having offensively, you just can't make a mistake.
And what were we saying about those inverted stats? The lefty takes him deep.
Yeah, that's 2 out of 3 in this inning. 2 lefties with base hits.
So it's 2-0 Red Sox. Ball 1 to Bogaerts.
Well, it's a fastball, you're right, Paul, and it kind of drifts to the inner third and gives Devers enough time to get the barrel and make a loud sound to it.
It is a quick bat. Again, if you see that from the side view, he gets out to his front side, but then it's all about his hands and getting the barrel out to the ball.
It's 433 feet away.
See how he gets to his front side, but then all of a sudden he is so quick to the ball, able to get to the ball inside.
Bogaerts drives one to left. Tauchman on the track in front of the scoreboard for the catch. Well, Cortez is not fooling anybody in this inning, right-handed or left.
Yeah, this was just enough off speed to keep it off the end of the bat, to keep it in the ballpark. You think the hitter knows? Watch his reaction. Right off the end of the bat, knew he had it, but just missed it. The ball's carrying Coney off the end of the bat. The hitter misses it. Still almost hits the wall.
Thought we were going to have a Paul O'Neill moment there for a minute.
Chuck a bat and still go deep.
Yeah, we went through that in game 1.
Still embarrassed.
Devers' 22nd home run on the year, surpassing last year's total of 21.
That's a career high. I mean, it just shows you offensively what the Red Sox left side of the infield have produced unbelievable numbers.
2-1 to J.D. Martinez, who walked in the second. Devers, in addition to surpassing last year's home run total, hit only .240 in 2018. Comes in tonight at .324.
So, Bob, you keep mentioning game 1. So are we assuming
Yeah.
everybody listened to game 1? So like the lines I use, I got to make up new ones. So I can't use them twice?
If they're good, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Keep them in my holster for later?
Yeah. Why waste good material? It was a beautiful day. A lot of people at the beach.
Certainly
in the
was.
park. Taking in a matinee.
And we're ex-ball players. We don't have to get the facts right. Don't let those facts get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, the burden's on me in that category.
Is that even real? That looks like a postcard right there.
It does, doesn't it? What kind of clouds are those, Paul? You're the meteorologist. Are they cumulus?
I think those are serious. Serious. Not very serious. Now, serious, they get dark and it rain.
Cirrus, not serious. Cirrus.
See how they're kind of wispy out there? You know, they're not solid.
They're cirrus.
Cirrus, yeah.
I'm experiencing cirrus.
Every time I experience no service and I get real mad, you know that?
Meanwhile, Martinez walks for the second time tonight. And up comes Benintendi, who fanned in the second.
I personally like the 70s channel on Sirius, so.
That's me. By the way, there was a song on last time, and I bumped Bob because we were talking. He looked at me like I was crazy. I said, "Yeah, that's the Tramps, Disco Inferno." Oh, I'm with you. Right back to work. Exactly. You don't know how much I thump Michael when he's here. Mitting him about something all the time.
Ah, here we go. This is extremely informative.
Right there, Cirrus.
Cirrus, yeah. Not to be confused with cirrocumulus or altocumulus.
Holy smokes. Now you're way over my head. I just threw one out there. I thought I knew.
There they are. A cluster of cirrus clouds. And I believe that brings this subject to a close for this evening.
It'll be dark. We won't have to talk about it anymore. Sidearm delivery from Cortez. Cortez got Benintendi early in the game on a pitch out of the strike zone, up and away.
I like this shot from the upper reaches down the right field line. And the 1-2 to Benintendi is fouled back to the screen. You guys may have noted this, or Michael perhaps has, earlier in the season. But Nestor Cortez Jr. was born in Cuba, but his father won a visa lottery when he was just 7 months old, and the family moved to Florida. That would be when Cortez Jr. was 7 months old, not the dad. Down goes Benintendi for the second time tonight. Here's Rafael Devers thinking about it, takes a deep breath, meditates a bit, and then boom. 2-0 Red Sox. A pop in the shadow left. The New York Yankees, world champions, team of the decade, most successful franchise of the century. Last out in Game 4 in '99 as the Yankees completed the sweep of the Braves. Something you were part of?
Well, you know, it was an interesting that your call there. It was just spot on. But I couldn't help but think, beating the Braves in '99, we stole that moniker, the team of the decade, from that team.
Well, the Blue Jays had won a couple back-to-back in '92 and '93. But the Braves were in the midst of winning 14 consecutive division titles. Sustained excellence, but they managed to win only one World Series. And I recall as Joe Morgan and I came on the air to begin that World Series, we said this is to determine not just this year's world champion, but the team of the decade. Had the Braves won it, at that point the Yankees would have had 2 World Series, the Braves would have had 2 to match them, and they would have had more division titles. They could have laid claim to it. More so than the Blue Jays or the Yanks, but the Yanks turned that completely around, not only by winning, but by sweeping. Game 3 was the killer for the Braves. They went up 5-0. Yankees came all the way back.
You've done a lot of games in your life, and you can still recall them all. Huh? Go right to them.
Most of them, at least the big ones.
Rolodex is still working real good.
It's better on stuff 15, 20 years ago than stuff 15, 20 minutes ago. That's the way it works.
We had him talking about clouds about 5 minutes ago. Hall of Fame broadcaster.
Judge had a single his first time. Check it first. He went. And off he goes to the dugout. Alfonso Marquez is the crew chief, and he has the call at first. Vasquez asked for the check, and Judge didn't check.
Judge kind of walking before he even saw the call. Pretty much feel it as a hitter when your wrists get out in front, but you just can't stop the barrel.
Here's Torres taking ball 1. Fly to center his first time. 0 for 6 on the day and night so far. There were so many Yankee moments for us on NBC with Bob Uecker and Joe Morgan. The first of Joe Torre's pennant winners in '96, waiting all those years as a player and as a manager to get to the World Series. Little did he realize it had become a habit after that. High fly ball to left. Going back is Travis, all the way back, and it's gone.
I'll tell you what, if you had that home run call watching at Travis, you didn't know what to do. I think he kind of lost it.
He didn't know either.
Yeah, this is kind of the twilight, and I think he lost the ball, and it just kept going. Off the bat, I didn't think it was close. I thought he hammered it.
So, grand slam last night. Solo shot here in the third tonight.
Just kind of looking up and noticing the flags picking up and blowing out to left a little bit. That ball was 105.2 miles an hour off of Glaber's bat, but hit very high. It's a 40-degree launch angle ball, which is really on the high side as home runs go, but it was hit hard enough and it got up in the breeze a bit, and of course we know the baseballs are going.
Yeah, what breeze there is tonight is blowing out toward left. Travis started out not quite at the warning track, and he gave some ground and a little more ground, and oops, he ran out of ground. The 1-1 to Hicks. Well, we saw Glaber, we saw Travis. Watch Johnson. He's not sure. He's trying to will it to stay in the yard. No such luck.
It's amazing how that ball doesn't listen when you talk to it, isn't it, Coney?
A lot of similar looks on pitchers' faces this year.
There is no longer any doubt that there's something different about this year's baseball, which does not mean that anything nefarious was going on. Conspiracy theorists can stand down. Baseball recognizes that something is off, and they're trying to figure out what to do about it. But in the meantime, you're getting dizzying home run totals all around baseball. Hit back up the middle for a base hit, and Hicks, who had been slumping, is now 2 for 2.
Almost looks like Johnson pulled his glove down thinking that this ball was going to be fielded behind him. Oh, ends up going up the middle. See if he intentionally does this. He didn't really make a play for it. I don't know if he lost it or if he just thought it'd be an easier play for the shortstop.
He sort of flinched,
yeah,
which makes you think he might have lost it for a split second. Chance Adams just back with the big club and up in the bullpen. Just to back up what we've been talking about, to this point in the season, there are more than 800 home runs in excess of last year's total on this date around the major leagues. 800.
Yeah, that's a large number. And then, you know, everybody loves home runs. Everybody loves offense. I mean, great pitching will shut down offense. I mean, Bob, you're a purist of baseball. I mean, does that worry? I mean, you like the strategy of not always looking for the home run.
Sure. Well, look, I was 9 years old when Maris and Mantle chased Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
It was tremendously exciting.
Sure.
And the Bronx Bombers mean something. But the home run should be a punctuation, a big deal, not commonplace. And the way the game is often played, in fairness, not by the Yankees in Game 1 today, a barrage of singles, along with a couple of LeMahieu homers. But if you don't have action, if you don't have the hit and run, if you don't have the stolen base, if you don't have balls hitting the gap and relays and plays at the plate, you're taking away some of the most exciting and appealing baseball plays, just from an entertainment standpoint. And I guess we have to say this. To mention anything that might be off in baseball does not mean we're complaining about baseball.
Yeah.
We all love the game, and we've seen it change and go through variations as the years and the decades have gone by. And this is an odd little period of time. Another one back up the middle. Hicks to second, where he'll stop. Tying run at scoring position. Go ahead run at first.
Well, let's give you the numbers on Gleyber Torres' home run here. StatCast AI powered by AWS at 105.7, and a 40-degree launch angle is really on the high side, and by the time it landed, it was projected to go 378 feet.
Cameron Maybin struck out on the second. The Yanks had 14 hits in the opener in the course of scoring 9 runs. Gleyber Torres and Cameron Maybin, the only two who didn't get in on the fun. Gleyber was 0 for 5. He's corrected that with a homer in this inning. Maybin was 0 for 4 last night. 0 for 1 so far tonight. With 1 out, Torres homered. Hicks and Urshela followed with singles.
It's a big spot in the game for the Red Sox. It looks like there's a little scampering in their bullpen, and for Johnson on the mound as well. Talked about him coming off the IL with an intestinal issue, and this is his first game back. Certainly a pitch count is involved here, but at this point in the game is really important for him and the Red Sox. Pitch number 62 about to be delivered.
And here it comes to Maybin. 2-2. Marcus Walden is in the Red Sox bullpen. He pitched in last night's game, but faced only 1 batter. Count runs out full. Tauchman on deck. Do the runners go in this spot? 3-2 pitch. 1 out. Well, probably. You got a small piece of it. So we'll do it all over again.
You know, Johnson's best pitch is his curveball. He just threw a good one there on 3-2, and Maybin spoiled it. Now what do? Come back to it? It's my best pitch. 3-2. I'm going to throw it. I got to get it in the strike zone. Maybin's out in front, but fouls it off.
Now what do, Cody? You've come back to it twice in a row. You stick with it. I'm going to ask you. Sometimes you can outthink yourself as a pitcher and think you have to do something else.
And as a hitter, you're just still staying with your plan, right? You always set on fastball.
Absolutely, especially 3-2. You know, if I foul off your curveball, it wasn't because I was looking for it. It's because I made an adjustment when I picked it up.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat for Maybin.
Hicks away from second. Urshela has his lead at first. And Johnson steps off. That is a fair ball by the lunging Devers and down the line. Hicks scores. Urshela to third. They're waving him home. And he will make it without a play on a double by Cameron Maben. 4 straight hits, a homer, 2 singles, and a double. And just like that, the Yankees are on top.
Every once in a while, as a hitter, the pitcher just goes to the well one too many times. And that was 3 consecutive curveballs. All of a sudden, he squared one up and hammered it right down the left field line. Much more on time after seeing that curveball 3 times. Such a great feeling as a hitter to see that ball rolling down the line. You know the circus has begun, that merry-go-round. The runners are off.
Devers, who can make that backhanded play on the dive, was playing him just a bit off the line and couldn't quite get to it. Cora sent Dana Lavangi, his pitching coach, out to talk to Johnson.
Try to get through this Tauchman at bat. Obvious advantage, platoon advantage, lefty on lefty here. Got to be getting close to the end here for Johnson.
Yeah, obviously the lefty-lefty matchup. If you get through this, and you really got to, if you're Cora, wonder if you need to get that last out of the bullpen.
Tauchman had a single in the second. The Yankees already have 8 hits. 1 a homer, 1 a double, 6 of them singles. So for those who say that the single is approaching the endangered species list in baseball, that's an overstatement, and certainly not true of the Yankees in the first game of the split doubleheader or in the nightcap.
Contact is back in vogue.
Love it.
Although statistically there are fewer singles in baseball the last couple of years than ever before.
Paulie, it's a small sample size. We're trying to figure out Tauchman and his skill set, and he does a lot of things well. But he does hold in there on lefties. So far this year, 15 for 37 against left-handed pitching.
In the air to center. Benintendi has it lined up. And wait a minute. Maben forgot how many outs there were. And a double play finishes the inning. Very uncharacteristic for Maben. Very strange. 10-year veteran, heads-up player, just forgot how many outs there were. And the inning comes to a premature end. You know, Paul, I can't disagree. It does look like a postcard, doesn't it? A full house or near full house at Yankee Stadium. That's a pleasing enough vista just looking around the ballpark as it is, but when you look at that night sky on top of it, what more could you ask for? Where would you rather be?
The only view I liked better was probably standing in right field. It was kind of cool when you were kind of surrounded by it all.
Chance Adams becomes the Yankees' third pitcher, following Green and Cortez.
At one point, the Yankees' top pitching prospect 2 or 3 years ago. Chance Adams had elbow surgery 2 off seasons ago, and trying to kind of regain some of that value, and is on the roster, so that's why he is an easy call up in this spot. Pitching for his life here a little bit, at least on the Yankees roster.
This is his 5th stint with the Yanks between here and AAA. Each team has allowed an extra man during a doubleheader, so he's the Yankees' 26th man for today and tonight. If you've just tuned in, Edwin Encarnacion was hit by a Josh Smith pitch in the 8th inning of the Yankees' opening win. Fractured right wrist. Onto the injured list he goes. It is a very crowded place when you talk about the 2019 Yankees. Travis draws a leadoff walk. Mike Ford is on his way, literally as we speak, from Scranton to take his place on the roster.
Yeah, and on a day when we're obviously playing a split doubleheader, the Yankees a very short bench right now as we speak. Really, as in one when you factor out the backup catcher.
Yeah, because they only want to use Didi with the bad hand in an emergency. And Higashioka is the backup catcher. You don't use him, at least not early in the game. So that leaves you with Brett Gardner. Vasquez singled his first time.
You know, Yankee universe loves to talk about, you know, roster choices, you know. You kind of need a first baseman now. I think that's why the choice is Ford over Clint Frazier at this point, even though Frazier's swinging the bat very well and has tremendous potential offensively. He's never played first base.
And if you're Frazier, it must be getting frustrating. He's had to work on his defense, but there's no question he can hit. There's also no question that the Yankees value him. Otherwise, they would have packaged him. 1-2 to Vasquez.
It's going to be a hot topic on social media among Yankees Twitter.
Do you take a deep dive into that, or do you prefer to maintain your sanity?
It's a good way to put it.
It's free entertainment.
So you're into it, huh?
I watch.
Yeah, all right. Paul is not.
I'm trying to talk Bob into getting an account. Maybe we can get that done here before we get him out of here.
It'd be like a slot machine. Followers just going like this over and over and over.
Can you imagine Bob Costas on Twitter?
No, I can't imagine it. And I have the last say. So no Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter, no Snapchat, whatever that is. Out of play. Travis at first with a leadoff walk, and things have slowed down a bit here in the fourth. Poke to right. Maben can't get there. It rolls to the wall. Travis on his way to third. He'll be stopped there on a double by Vasquez.
You can see Vasquez here lunging, just poking it down the line. Maben no choice but to turn his back and field it off the wall, and Red Sox in business here. Second, third, and nobody out. You can see reaching off the plate.
Second and third, nobody out for Chavis. Swings on the first pitch. Sends a pop into shallow center field. Hicks comes in. He makes the catch. And the runners hold.
Big out there. You've got to start getting one at a time if you're a chance at him. You just can't let this inning get out of control.
Big break there. One pitch, one out.
Chavis berating himself. Here's Hernandez, who sent a scorcher past LeMahieu down the right field line for a double in the third. Strike one. The Yankees have won 9 of 13 head-to-head from the Red Sox. They lead them at this point by 12.5 in the division, turning the tables from a year ago. Aaron Boone's team won 100. That still put them 8 games behind the Red Sox, who had a nearly perfect season that culminated in a world championship. And along the way, they had to beat the 3 teams other than themselves with the best record: the Yankees, the Astros, and the Dodgers. They ran that gauntlet, so that's certified that that was their year. And Hernandez held up.
That's why the hitter's going to check. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Right down there.
A rarity.
No way.
Big pitch for Adams. Looking to put Hernandez away. Not just yet. Well, he got a shallow pop into center when he needed it. He strikes out Hernandez, but now he's got to deal with Mookie Betts. 2 on 2 out.
The old back leg slider, which is not a lot of margin for error when executed properly like that, is a finish pitch. But if you leave it on the plate, it's the happy zone.
Yeah, I was almost going to say, though, that, you know, that's David Cone right there. That is how you used to love to finish off lefties. I remember getting that ball down and in. And you're right, it was seldom a strike, but boy, it looked good for a while.
Mookie Betts struck out and lined hard to left. This ball will land in front of Tauchman, and the Red Sox will reclaim the lead. Betts knocks home 2 with a soft single to left, and Boston goes up 4-3.
This reminds you of the typical Yankee Red Sox games, just back and forth, back and forth. And again, when you turn that lineup over, and Mookie Betts, you better make good pitches. Kind of a hanging slider, not a terrible pitch. Just not a lot of break on it. He's just too good of a hitter.
Well, one of the advantages of having your best hitter hit leadoff is he's the first one to get the 3rd at bat and the first one to get the 4th at bat. So over the course of a season, your leadoff hitter is going to get 50 more at bats on the year, and for a guy like Mookie Betts, that really pays off. Possibly costing some run-producing situations because he bats leadoff, but leadoff hitter only leads off you really once a game.
Right, and you know, you look at their lineup up and down there. You know, you could put any of them in first 4 spots. I mean, there's just so much production.
I think Bill James, kind of the godfather of sabermetrics, would say, you know, don't fret over the order. Just put your best hitters towards the top of the order and get them as many at bats as you can.
You know, when they had turned this around a couple weeks ago, a lot of people said it was getting Mookie Betts back in that leadoff spot. And, you know, Cora is doing everything he possibly can to try to change the vibe with the Red Sox.
Of course, when you talk about lineup construction, it's a bit different in the American League with the DH than in the National League. Mookie has stolen 12 in 14 attempts.
You know, in this situation, sorry, Bob Coney, if you look at this at bat, you know, it almost senses that you need to come in. But Devers is so good that I just don't think that you can mess with him. He's hot. He's already shot one out of here on an inside fastball. You know, if he wants to hit one the other way, tip your cap to him.
Well, he showed his opposite field power a couple of years ago. Remember when he hit an Aroldis Chapman fastball at 102 out in this ballpark to left center?
Yeah, that was immediate attention to pretty much everybody in baseball.
Nobody had ever done it to Chapman before.
The 1-2 from Adams. A little topper, and that's going to do it. He underhands to LeMahieu, but the Red Sox throw 2 on the board in the 4th, and they're back in front 4-3. Yankees baseball on Yes is brought to you in part by People's United Bank. Checking without curveballs. Member FDIC, and by Heineken. Drink Heineken responsibly. This is Marcus Walden out of the Boston pen.
If you're a reliever in today's game and you don't have more strikeouts than innings pitched, you're probably in AAA.
Generally true. Over his last 13 appearances, Walden's ERA is nearly 8. Romine chops the first pitch to short, and Bogarts throws him out.
So, Bob, we were making a little fun of social media, but as soon as I say that, I get a good story out of. Just got a message from.
Tell Bob Costas hello for me. Who said that?
Doctor for Chris Ahmad, team doctor of the Yankees, said he went to the same high school as you, Long Island.
Comac High School on Long Island.
And #1 pick, also a friend of his father, Anthony Volpe. School's producing some people, huh?
Rosie O'Donnell 10 years after me.
Really?
And I know he's watching, former big league pitcher Don DeMola, who was with the Expos for a few years in the 70s, did pretty well till an Achilles injury ended his career.
Met him through Frank Catalanato out on Long Island.
Long Island boys.
Frankie could hit a little bit. I think you got Dom in your book, though, don't you, in high school?
Well, it was an intra-squad game. Valera had an infield hit his first time. I'm trying to make the team as like the second or third string second baseman. And in an intra-squad game, I can claim that I hit a double off a guy who later pitched in the big leagues. The left fielder was so shallow that the line drive just sailed over his head.
That was a dead ball era, though. You must have jacked it,
that's right. It was Wee Willie Keeler.
Exit velocity 102, launch angle 17.
So here's the deal. The coach was also the math teacher, Chuck Orant. He had pitched in the Pirates system in the early 50s, back when there was D-ball and C-ball. I don't think he ever got higher than C-ball. So he's the baseball coach for like an extra $500 for the season.
Sure.
Coach the baseball team. The 2-1 coming to Valera. Hit hard and foul. So when the final cutdown arrives, he says, Costas, you know more about baseball than anybody on this team. But I don't think you can hit your weight, and I don't think you weigh 130, which might have been true at the time. And this is what he honestly said. You ever think about broadcasting?
Nice.
I said, yeah, that's pretty much all I think about. He said, good, try that. That was cold.
You know what they do now, Bob? They call you in the office of the manager, and it's a numbers game.
Right. Make you feel better.
Yeah, you didn't have to hear it was a numbers game. He just flat out told you to go into broadcasting.
That's right. He said it with a twinkle in his eye.
Hey, Pete Harnish from Comac area.
Yes, Pete Harnish from Comac pitched for the Orioles.
Wow, you must have had a lot of pictures in your hallway. You know, when you went in high school, you'd have pictures of the All-City, the All-State. Holy smokes, you guys got a whole line of studs.
Valero works a one-out walk. You know, I didn't mind so much that Mr. Orant cut me from the baseball team. But then when he flunked me in algebra, that was too much.
That kind of chapped you?
That was too much.
Let me let you know on an inside story. Cody went to a high school that didn't even have a baseball team. Here's a future like Cy Young guy, didn't even play high school baseball.
How is that possible? Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team, right?
Yeah, he did, but they had a team.
They have a team now.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. So they had no team. Where'd you play?
I played in a summer league and a college league. So when I was 15 years old, I was competing against, back then it was the Big 8 in the Midwest. So it was 21 and under. It actually helped me in the long run.
Here's LeMahieu. Fly to right, line to right. With the Yankees being beset by so many injuries, the latest Encarnacion with the fractured wrist, LeMahieu has not only been good, he's been in the lineup virtually every day. Missed a few games this past week with the groin strain, but apart from that, every time Boone has called upon him, he's answered the call. First base, second base, third base, and leading the league in hitting.
Really the only guy on the roster that can play first base right now. Never really played it before this year.
Slices one to right, and again, it's Mookie Betts who records the putout. So they're playing pepper, LeMahieu and Betts.
Tell you, just good solid at bats, just bad luck. Another great swing, ball away. Mookie Betts has been there a long time, and there's nothing you can do as a hitter.
Well, looking for somebody besides LeMahieu who can play first base. Are we tracking Mike Ford? Is he in the area code yet?
Find my friends.
Just scanned the dugout with our camera.
Judge is 1 for 2.
Well, with Encarnacion going down, you'd love to see Aaron Judge just all of a sudden hit his stride and put that power back into the lineup that you just lost in game 1.
Did you notice that Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor was in attendance last night?
Yeah, she was on the field. Sure.
Yankee fan, born and raised in the Bronx.
Absolutely.
And obviously she has a new favorite player.
Yeah, they've actually had her out in the judge's chambers.
Yeah.
Out in right field and sitting in there.
She didn't don the powdered wig, however, beneath her dignity. There they are, the assembled jurists. Ah, there's the Associate Justice. This was last night. How many various jokes and plays on words concerning Aaron Judge must she endure when she attends a game at Yankee Stadium?
Of course, she will forever be connected to baseball. She was on the National Labor Relations Board.
Yep.
And issued the injunction that essentially ended the strike back in the mid-90s.
Took all the owners' leverage away. I really think, although Marvin Miller and Don Fehr and Gene Orza at that point were undefeated, things were going the owner's way. because they'd already shown they were willing to forfeit the World Series in '94, which surprised the players and their representatives. Now we're into the spring of '95, and the leverage was with the owners for once, but Sotomayor's decision brought the players back. And then it ended with a whimper rather than a victory for the owners. Marcus Walden brings home the 2-2 pitch to Judge and strikes him out. 2 strikeouts along with a single for Aaron, who still hasn't quite hit his stride. Well, how about that? Didn't take long in the Astros lab for him to figure something out, or for them to help him figure it out. Brent Strom, the Astros' 70-year-old pitching coach, very forward-looking, very into the analytics, as is that entire Houston organization led by Jeff Luhnow. So here is Sanchez, who hasn't gotten through the 6th inning in any start for Toronto this year, taking a no-hitter into the 6th in his first start as an Astro.
Well, it's kind of debut night for all the guys that got traded. Marcus Stroman making his debut for the Mets, down 2-1 in the bottom of the 5th. And Trevor Bauer as well, I believe, pitching for the Reds. He's down 1-0 in the 5th.
Yeah, I was anxious to see, after the Reds, a lot of people were scratching their heads after the Reds made a deal. Are they still in this? How they would do with the players knowing you've added something. And I think they won 4 out of 5, so they have put together a little string. But down 1-0 to Atlanta tonight.
It's Bogaerts, Martinez, and Benintendi for the Red Sox in the 5th, as they lead it 4-3. Speaking of the Reds, have you guys talked at all about the brawl with the Pirates? And it wasn't an isolated incident. This has been brewing for a while.
Right.
And it finally boiled over. There had been some animosity prior to. There had been some bench clearing. There had been some yelling and screaming and finger pointing, but then it really got ugly.
When the pitcher charges the dugout and doesn't start pushing, just comes in with a right hook or left hook, I mean, it was on.
Taking on the whole team.
Yeah, exactly.
And then David Bell shoving Clint Hurdle. 40 games worth of suspensions handed out.
I think we've all had enough of that brawl between those two teams at this point. I mean, yeah, we know. Derek Dietrich, he didn't run out of the box on a home run. But enough already. Stop throwing at the guy's head.
This goes back a long time. I mean, I remember growing up and then being called up and hearing stories from Tony Perez and Davey Concepcion. Doc Ellis actually told the paper, who was the starting pitcher the next day, I'm going to hit everybody that walks to that plate. And he didn't lie. He hit Pete Rose and just kept throwing it at people.
He actually hit the first 4 guys in the Reds lineup. The first 4 guys. He also actually pitched a game, at least one, maybe more than one, on LSD.
I wasn't going to mention that, but I'm glad you did, Bob. Maybe that's...
If you were aware of that when you settled into the box, you really wouldn't settle.
That's coming back in vogue, I think.
Bogaerts lifts one into right center. Hicks tracks it down.
This is after a mound visit. And look, you don't go in and push.
Here's Garrett, the former St. John's basketball player. Long reach in the tail of the tape. Threw a haymaker with the left hand. Here's Yasiel Puig, who doesn't even realize he's been traded already. That's what I'm all about, says Garrett. How do you like me now? Martinez has walked twice.
couple important innings here, Coney, to Chance Adams, if he can get, through this 5th, possibly the 6th, keep this game where it is, allow the offense to get back. Then you get in to that real comfortable part of the bullpen for Aaron Boone.
Well, the Red Sox 2 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th. Seems like at times when these two teams play, it's my kingdom for a 1-2-3 inning. I mean, it's just a rare occurrence when they start going back and forth. And Chance Adams going to have to go through the middle of this order, and J.D. Martinez a tough one with the 2-2 count.
Shallow right, foul territory, out of play. Well, the only 1-2-3 inning so far was the very first. Green set the Red Sox down in order to begin the game. Then he got one batter into the second. It was this hitter, J.D. Martinez. When he walked him, Boone pulled him for Nestor Cortez Jr. Now Chance Adams. And another foul ball. I wonder if Martinez, who is said to have a lot of influence among the Red Sox hitters, has affected Devers. Full count, because Martinez tends to walk away after almost every pitch, and he takes a deep breath like he's gathering himself, and Devers pretty much mirrors that from the left side.
It's a great pickup, Bob. The similarities are eerie now that you mention it. So the answer to your question, I think, is obvious.
Ground ball up the middle. Martinez fought for it and delivers a one-out single.
J.D. Martinez, such a good hitter. Kind of the new age hitters, enough power to hit 30, 40 home runs, but the type of hitter that can still be around the 300 mark and drive in 120 like he did last year. I mean, it just a solid hitter.
Ball one to Benintendi. I like these various camera angles.
Just made me want a Nathan's hot dog right there.
I'm old enough to remember when Nathan's existed only at Coney Island. If you wanted a Nathan's hot dog, you had to go to where you could find the steeplechase and the hurricane and the parachute jump.
That is some old school there, but
yeah.
I like these stories.
Yeah, my mouth is watering now. Jeez.
It's like that watch in front of you trying to hypnotize you.
Don't go all Joey Chestnut on us here.
You do what talking about. You do watch things in life. Guys lift an amazing amount of weights, or sprinters, unbelievable. Then you look at that and it's like, but I really want to do that?
The world of competitive eating.
Yeah. Wow.
How can there be such a thing? Competitive eating. Here's a shot gloved by LeMahieu and a double play. Benintendi's shaking his head. He scorched that one. DJ backhands it. Martinez is a dead duck. And that's it for the Red Sox in the 5th.
It's time for the Fios fast play of the game, and came in about 91 miles an hour, left the bat at 103, right into DJ LeMahieu's glove. catch, step on the bag, inning over.
Benintendi could scarcely drop his bat and get out of the box. Can't hit it any harder. Comes up completely empty. Double play to end the inning. Josh Taylor is the new Boston pitcher, making his 27th appearance of the season.
Wow, this was the big question mark coming down to the deadline, was Boston's bullpen strength. And now that the Yankees are in a close game here, you see how that bullpen comes into a close game in Yankee Stadium.
Well, they're hoping as soon as he finds his groove that Nathan Eovaldi will be their guy at the back end of the bullpen. Just recently off the injured list, converting him from starter to reliever. Right now, the Red Sox have the worst save percentage of any team in the majors, barely over 50%, and 19 blown saves. Two to Gleyber Torres, who has homered twice in this series. Solo tonight, grand slam last night. Up high, Josh Taylor, since being called up on June 14th, has an ERA of 2.18 over 21 appearances. Torres with a long one to left. Looks like his second of the night. And there it is.
Tell you what, this is a typical slugfest, back and forth, and Gleyber Torres, after going over in the game one, setting a couple of home runs in game two, and this was a no-doubter off the bat. He's been so quick to the ball the last couple of days.
This is Gleyber's 5th multi-home run game of the year. The first 4 were all against Baltimore.
Yeah, he has enjoyed the American League East so far this year. The big home run ties this game up. As the grand slam was last night, ball just in off the plate. It's basically the same pitch that he was able to get to.
Aaron Hicks has a pair of singles.
To your point, Paulie, that's incredible quickness. That's almost 95 miles an hour in the upper right corner of the strike zone quadrant, and it goes just below the second deck.
Oh, 2.
Again, it's just lightning quick when he gets it all together. From where he is loaded on that backside to out front, gone.
You know, we say this a lot, but hitters that use their legs so well, really get into your legs, as you say, from the ground up. I think Gleyber Torres does it just about as well as any young player in the game.
And there's certain guys, and if you watch Stanton when he hits earlier in the year, I mean, it's all upper body. He's just so strong, he can muscle the ball. Well, Torres is a fluid, get together, everything into the baseball. amazing to me also with Torres. Obviously, he's 22 years old, and what he's doing, but he is able to turn on that ball inside with tremendous power, but still, when he's right, be able to cover the ball away and use right center field.
Hicks strikes out. Four game in the fifth. Red Sox struck first with 2 in the third. Yankees came right back with 3 in the bottom half. Red Sox retook the lead with 2 in the fourth, and the Yankees have tied it on the second Gleyber Torres home run of the night here in the bottom of the fifth, and Mike Ford has arrived.
He'd have been here probably about 45 minutes ago, Paulie, but he didn't have an easy pass.
That's what happens.
It's a problem.
Tell you what, if I was on my way to Yankee Stadium and I'd just blow through that gate. Just keep going. Find me later. Funny thing is, if you got pulled over by the police and you told the story, they give a police escort here.
Here's one I never understood, talking about baseball movies. And we've been talking a lot of cinema in these 2 games, today and tonight. Remember the winning team with Ronald Reagan as Grover Cleveland Alexander, not to be confused with Grover Cleveland, the president, and Doris Day as his love interest? All right, it's Game 7 in 1926, the Cardinals and the Yankees, at Yankee Stadium. And Alexander, played by Reagan, at least in the film version, is packing for the offseason because he's won Game 6. He doesn't think he's going to pitch in Game 7. He's listening to the game on the radio. I'm not even sure the game could be heard on the radio in 1926, but some sort of dramatic license, right? 2-1 pitch coming from Taylor to Urshela. So he finds out that the game is in jeopardy and they need him. So he decides he's got to hightail it to Yankee Stadium. He hops a cab. The cab driver recognizes him and says, "Oh, Alex, I'll get you there right away." He's in New York. He's not in St. Louis. I'm 10 years old watching this. And now this makes no sense. This is implausible. And he came in, struck out Tony Lazzeri, and that was that. And Taylor strikes out Urshela in less dramatic fashion. The great Hall of Fame pitcher Grover Alexander apparently had some problems away from the field. In the film version, he could only focus, and his dizziness only went away when he gazed at the lovely visage of Doris Day. So when Doris got to her seat, right, having been rushed to the ballpark, knowing that Alex needed her close by, he was seeing double and triple till finally she settled into her seat. Everything cleared up. He struck out Lazzeri. He got out of the jam. The Cardinals won the World Series.
Conan, we don't even have to watch the movie now. We're all up to date.
I don't think you can find that movie, even on Turner Classic Movies. I think it's out of the rotation. The 0-1 to Maben. He struck out, knocked home 2 with a double in the third, then forgot how many outs there were. And when Tauchman flied out to Benintendi in center, Maben had wandered off second base and he was doubled off. Adam Ottavino getting ready, sort of. The 2-1 to Maben.
I just got to sit back and I'm resting on the Doris Day story right here.
You know what? Somebody out there is going to catch me on this, and now that I think of it, and I haven't thought about it for decades, I think that Reagan, as Alexander, was already at the ballpark, but it was Doris Day who was packing and realized if he's going to come in the game, he needs to look at me, otherwise he's going to lose his bearings. And the cabbie hurried up to get Doris Day to Yankee Stadium. I think that's the way it went down.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Either way, I don't understand the cab driver aligning himself with the Cardinals in that situation. The 3-2 pitch. Here's a quiz. Do you know how the 1926 World Series ended? Alexander struck Lazzari out after Lazzari nearly hit a grand slam, barely foul, struck him out to get out of a jam, I think, in the 7th. In the 9th, in a one-run game, how does it end? A popped foul and out of play.
You know what? I might know this.
Go ahead.
Babe Ruth get caught stealing?
Yes! Yes!
That was like a trivia thing or something. Hey, how you like that?
Rogers Hornsby, arguably the greatest right-handed hitter, at least of his era, hit over 400 3 times with a high of 424. He applies the tag. The Babe is out. World Series over. Now, who would think they would have that at the ready? I certainly didn't know. I just brought it up randomly. That's impressive. Another 3-2 pitch. And a 2-out walk.
You know, the truck did have a 3-hour pregame meeting before this nightcap,
which I missed.
Well, Mike Medvin is a wizard down there for us. I mean, he comes up with stuff in lightning fast methods.
We talked about it was an issue with Boston. I mean, Taylor's given up a home run, now ball 4, 22 pitches. So if you're Cora, you know we talked about it. They've got 17 games in the next 16 days. So it's you're going to have to get some outs and trust some pitchers without making just multiple changes game after game when you're playing that many.
Talkman chops one toward the hole. Hernandez has it, whirls around, and throws him out. Let's take a look back at both home runs in this game for Gleyber Torres. First one on the 3rd, this one on the 5th. And the second one ties it at 4.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and the descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees.
Flawlessly done. On to the 6th. Adam Ottavino on the mound for the Yanks.
You know, on paper, this is a game right now that the Yankees should win. I mean, their bullpen lines up much better than the Red Sox. You've been able to keep them from busting the game open. You've fought back a couple times.
Adam Ottavino has been charged with a run just once in his last 21 appearances, although he has allowed a few inherited runners to score, but nonetheless during that stretch his ERA is around 1. Sam Travis lines one by the lunging Torres for a leadoff hit.
It's what you don't see very often from Ottavino, as a slider with not a lot of movement. He has such good movement. See, this ball just kind of sits there. Just out of the reach.
Vasquez has singled and doubled. Travis takes off. The peg from Romine is late.
Well, Travis really gets a good jump there. He's kind of cheating on Ottavino. Romine does all he can. Good strong throw. A lot of times these bases are stolen on the pitcher. Oh, he almost missed with his foot, which caused him to go in with his knee. See if that glove got down. I don't know. Closer than it looked.
Vasquez lofts one to center. Hicks makes the catch. Travis tags, bluffs, and holds.
There's certain things in the game that you do well, and Aaron Hicks is one of the stronger arms in the American League, and the key to this is how he backtracks, where he gets his momentum going towards the throw, towards third base. Right here, I mean, he knows the ball's ahead of him, and you want a running head start to make a good strong throw. Can't say anything else than that. Perfect.
So now Brock Holt, with the right-hander on the mound, is going to bat for Michael Chavis. You can play Holt just about anywhere. Last year, he played every position for the Sox except catcher and center field. A few years back, he actually made the All-Star team as a utility man. So he's batting for Chavis, who's at first base, or was. Strike one. Bounce foul, 0-2.
Chris Sale from game one. Keshner, who they acquired from the Orioles. Going over a few things.
Sale saw his record drop to 5-11. Bested by Domingo Germán, who's now 14-2. And the 0-2 to Holt misses high and away. You don't see many pitchers, there are a few, with single digits on their back. But the 0 is obvious for Ottavino.
The Yankees, with all the retired numbers, I mean, it's hard to find a single digit. I mean, you go all the way up to 99 with Aaron Judge.
0 was the only single digit, if you want to call it that, available. 1 through 9, gone.
Even 8's gone twice.
Yeah, Dickey and Berra. And Holt strikes out.
I saw earlier in the count Ottavino kind of shake his head when he kind of hung another slider. Might not like his slider, so he went back to the fastball. Two-seamer. See it running away at 95. That's the beauty of Adam Ottavino. If he doesn't have his perfect slider, he still has the ability to throw that fastball by you.
Everything he throws moves.
So he strikes out the pinch hitter Holt and now faces Marco Hernandez. Ottavino leads the Yanks with 52 appearances now. Adams' ERA for the season is 1.5. And this is almost commonplace, but I guess still noteworthy. 12.5 strikeouts per 9 innings of work. Not too many of the Red Sox-Yankees games this year have been close. The majority of them have been decided by 5 runs or more. I guess you could say last night's game was a close game. 2 in the top of the first, then the grand slam by Torres in the bottom, and it never changed the rest of the way. Here, 4-4 in the 6th.
And to that point, Bob, last year, kind of the same thing. I mean, when you play a team 18 times, 19 times, the majority of the games were blowouts either way. Not a lot of nail biters.
Hernandez has doubled and struck out. Count even to 2-2. Hernandez putting up a good battle. And now Romine goes to the mound.
I think he's going to question it to Romine. You know, what do you think? My slider's not great. We want to try to sneak a fastball in. This is a big at bat right here. You got Mookie Betts in the top of this lineup coming up if he doesn't get through this.
Not only that, which slider to throw and which location. Ottavino with a couple of different variations. A big one that's a little quicker velocity-wise and a sweeping one that he can throw to the back leg on a left-handed batter.
Travis singled, stole second. Vasquez flied out. Pinch hitter Holt struck out. And Hernandez hangs in. Up on the scoreboards these days, you've got the usual runs, hits, and errors, and then MVR, mound visits remaining. Each team has 3 left. Full count. Well, Hernandez worked for that walk. The Red Sox have 2 on with 2 out. We're told that in the Astros-Mariners game, Aaron Sanchez did not allow a hit through 6 innings, but now they've taken him out. But what a turnaround. It's only 1 game, but he was getting knocked all over the place as a Blue Jay. 6 no-hit innings, his first outing as an Astro. After losing his last 13 decisions.
A good first impression. Get the feeling that Adam Ottavino did not want to see this matchup, even though he's got righty on righty.
Not exactly the righty you want to face. Betts knocked in 2 with a base hit down the left field line in the 4th. 4 runs on 7 hits for the Red Sox. 4 runs on 9 hits for the Yanks. Neither team has committed an error. One and 2.
We're seeing Adam Ottavino trying to find the pitch that he can lean on. He has not had his great slider control-wise tonight. He's got ahead in this count with 2 fastballs.
And the crowd urging him on as he brings home the 1-2 to Betts, who swings and skies it to center. It's an easy chance for Hicks, and the Red Sox are turned away.
Yankee Stadium on Friday, August 16th, when the Yankees take on the Cleveland Indians. The first 18,000 guests in attendance will receive a Yankees beach towel courtesy of Pepsi. For tickets, log on to Yankees.com or visit the Yankee Stadium ticket window.
Taylor stays on the mound. Holt hit for Chavis, and he assumes Chavis's position at first base. Romine, Valera, then back to the top for LeMahieu. We mentioned earlier today that Gary Sanchez technically was eligible to come off the injured list today, and he has been taking BP before the games, including today. So the move is imminent, maybe as early as tomorrow. We don't know.
And even a little bit more necessary now with Edwin Encarnacion with a fractured wrist during Game 1.
When we saw Mike Ford a little while ago on the bench having arrived from Scranton, he was wearing a sweatshirt. I assume he's in uniform. I assume he's good to go. Instead of just, plopping down on the bench and saying, hey, fellas, what's happening?
He's going to have to find a new number because he wore 36 the last time he was up. That currently is on somebody else's back that's playing in the game right now. Valera is wearing 36 tonight.
I'm told that he's wearing number 74. It is tough to verify given his present garb. Whatever his itinerary, Ford looks like the most relaxed man in Yankee Stadium, doesn't he?
One of those exhausting days where you get a phone call, you're rushing here, you're rushing there, you get here, boy, by the time you get to the hotel, you just crash.
And that's when you realize you forgot to clean underwear.
That could be an issue.
It's what the concierge is for. And the toothbrush. And all the rest. Romine smacks it to left, but it's right at Travis.
Tell you what, Romine has been so hot at the plate. Good swings, much more aggressive, really driving the ball. Home run he hit in Fenway the other night off Chris Sale, 460-some feet. Cut fastball right off the barrel. Great swing. Saying the same thing, just kind of bad luck.
I think now's the time, Paul. I was going to put Bob on the spot, but I wanted him to rank us of all the people he's worked with. We mentioned before.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, maybe I should go the other angle and go his seat. Who inspired him growing up?
Well, everybody else was Vin Scully because they all went to Fordham. Might be the first guy we've ever worked with up here that wasn't a Fordham grad.
Well, you know, the industry is teeming with Syracuse guys.
Oh, okay.
Right? Sean McDonough in the other booth with the Red Sox. Marv Albert. The late, great Marty Glickman. Ian Eagle.
Just to name a few?
Just to name a very few. A couple of dozen, easily. Well, Euchre was the funniest. That's a no-brainer.
What about the ones that sat in your seat?
Well, when I was a kid, I was listening to Red Barber and Mel Allen call Yankee games. And the scooter, Phil Rizzuto, after he retired in the mid-50s, he joined them. But the primary play-by-play voices at that point were the first two guys inducted into the broadcasters wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame, Red Barber and Mel Allen. Now, Red was most famous for being the voice of the Brooklyn Dodgers, but eventually, in the early 50s, he came over and joined forces with Mel Allen. He had tutored the young Vin Scully, who didn't need much tutoring, but always gave Red ample credit. He was Red's protege as a young kid out of Fordham.
It's funny, I don't remember Mel Allen in the booth, but growing up, every Saturday, This Week in Baseball was Mel Allen. And that was the voice that
the violin strings.
Could not wait to hear, and the highlights and this and that. Kind of miss those days now because every game is on, every nationally televised, you see it all. So that weekly show wouldn't surprise you. You've already seen it.
Right.
I've heard a story.
But you waited for it. You looked forward to it all week.
Yeah, it was a great show. I heard a story that Red Barber didn't like ex-jocks in the booth.
No, not at all. Even before Howard Cosell heaped disdain on former players turned broadcasters, Red was a great, great broadcaster. He could be a persnickety man. There was a right way to do it, and everything else was the wrong way.
Love that word, persnickety.
Well, that was a tip of the cap to Red's era.
That sounded like something from like a Dr. Seuss movie or something.
Valera goes down swinging with a vicious cut.
That's not
2 outs of the Yankee sixth.
Typical two-strike swing right there.
There's Mel, the longtime voice of the Yankees. And our present sponsors will understand. Very often a Yankee home run was either a Ballantine blast or a White Owl wallop. How about that? You think about how lucky you've been, and each of you can tell stories in the same category. To have been befriended by Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle, to have known Red Barber and Mel Allen and Vin Scully. When you dreamed of something like that when you were a kid, wow. LeMahieu is 0 for 3. He was 3 for 5 in the first game, including 2 home runs. Last year, he was on the injured list 3 different times, and he hit just .276. And there may have been some who said, you know, the Coors factor, sure he's good, maybe not that good. He has disproven any of that this year.
2 years, $25 million deal.
A bargain.
And it was funny how this all started, too. It was opening day with him not in the lineup, and Aaron Boone saying, I'll get him plenty of at-bats. Well, it wasn't long before he's been your MVP.
So how versatile is LeMahieu? Not just playing 3 different infield positions, but he's hit a career high in home runs with 2 months still to go. And he leads the majors in singles. The 3-1 pitch. There's another single. on cue.
Again, it's all about the approach in not changing things. I mean, a single's enough for him. The home runs will come, and he was extremely patient early in the year. He's hitting for a high average, and in this day and age, if you don't hit for home runs, but you see how simple that is. I mean, there's nothing other than just a contact drive through the ball, recognize the pitch, put a good swing on it.
That finishes Taylor. Matt Barnes will be next.
Tomorrow night, after the Yankees and Red Sox play the series finale on ESPN, turn back to Yes for the Extra Innings postgame show. Then Monday, the Bombers head to Camden Yards to battle the Baltimore Orioles. Full coverage starts at 6:30 right here on Yes.
Well, who's pitching tomorrow? Two guys who have been on paternity leave, leaving mother and child to resume their baseball duties. Pair of lefties, Price and Happ. Paxton had a good outing here despite another shaky first last night. If the Yankees can get Paxton and Happ back in some kind of groove, and fingers crossed Severino returns, and doesn't just return to the active roster but returns to form, well, that's almost as good as a trade acquisition. In fact, in Severino's case, better. Since they haven't had him all year, they can look at Severino and Betances as if they were acquisitions at this point. Aaron Judge singled in the first, struck out twice after that.
A lot's going to happen before those two are out on the mound. And Brian Cashman on the radio the other day really pretty much said it. I mean, there's nobody out there with that type of talent you can trade for if Severino is Severino. And, time is only going to tell.
Unless you're talking about Greinke, but he wasn't coming to New York.
No, he had a no-trade clause. And obviously, Betances overpowering in the bullpen. We get him back. I mean, this is a different team.
Meanwhile, the guess on Stanton is another month. And the Yankees are still waiting for Judge to get on track. So what they expected to be two pieces of a murderer's row really haven't delivered on that this year.
Yeah, it's been 54 at-bats since Aaron Judge hit a home run, all the way back to July 19th.
Hard to believe. Especially when, with his power, and in this ballpark especially, he doesn't have to make great contact to get it out. He can miss a pitch and still ride it out of here. He has 11 homers for the season.
And a 3-1 count right here.
Full count. You have to say to yourself, he takes a pitch like that, hitters count, he's just not right. I can't explain what it is, maybe you guys can, but he's just not right. That's right down the pipe.
Yeah, that ball's outer half, and it looks like, see the front side open to me, it looks like he was really looking to pull one. And as soon as you do that, the ball looks away and you just freeze.
It's almost like the league is adjusting back to Aaron Judge, who is famous for spitting on sliders off the plate, working 3-2 counts, and taking his share of walks. His on-base percentage still about 40%. You can see them start kind of reverse the strategy and throwing him some fastballs in these counts.
Mayhew takes off from first. Judge pops it wide of first, and it will make the seats.
hear you, Paul, talk about staying true to your approach a lot. And Aaron Judge is very disciplined in his approach, but I think to your point, you can kind of see him get out of it here and there.
I think he's getting a little frustrated, looking to pull the ball just a little bit more.
Hit sharply off Bogart's chest. He juggles, recovers, and gets Judge. Well, he hit it hard right at Bogarts, who stayed with it. And that's it for the Yanks. Well, guys, I was mentioning earlier how lucky I was with Bob Uecker and Joe Morgan to be involved in a lot of Yankee postseason moments in the 90s. 96, 98, and 2000 LCS, 99 World Series. During the afternoon game, we showed a Paul O'Neill home run off Dwight Gooden, who was then with Cleveland in the 98 LCS, and we were looking for something involving you, and I'm sad to say this was all we could come up with from Game 6 at Yankee Stadium.
He singled and struck out looking. And a drive to right. This could be a grand slam. It is, and the Indians are right back in it. Tommy takes Paul into the upper deck.
Here's the consolation. The Yankees won the game.
You were just setting up for that, for the crowd to get involved, bringing them all back in, Coney.
Just shows you that pitchers' wins are overrated. I got the win for that game.
Nice.
Tommy Kahnle enters a 4-all game in the 7th. Devers had a homer in the 3rd.
Well, last outing, Tommy Kahnle, as you saw right there, his changeup has been on fire, just nasty.
Last 13 appearances for Kahnle. 18 strikeouts, 2 walks, 5 hits allowed, ERA 0.71. He has been on fire.
I'm in a bad mood now, Paul.
That's it? Still chapped, huh? I didn't see the pitch, Coney. Was that a heater or a hanging slider?
Hanging slider.
Well, Tommy hit more than 600 of them, so it's no disgrace. Kahnle fields the comebacker and retires Devers. We had a bunch of strikeouts from the 99 World Series, but we thought that was less exciting and less compact than a home run into the upper deck, a grand slam, no less.
Every time I see Jim Thome, we just look at each other, and he knows what I'm thinking, and he lights up if I bring it up.
Boy, those Cleveland teams in the 90s were so good. On a rampage before the strike in 94. Picked up where they left off. Won 100 games in a 154-game shortened season in 95. Couldn't get past the Braves in the World Series. In 97, they got to the World Series, lost Game 7 in 11 innings to the Marlins. In 98, the Yankees had a super team, but Cleveland gave you a run for your money. They came so close so often.
They were the team that easily could have knocked us out. They were up 2-1 in that series.
144 games. They were 144. Better yet, Torres at short. Throws Bogarts out. All right, here's some payback because I feel guilty.
Throw me a nasty slider, Coney. Come on. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, see you later.
Strikes out. And a called strike three.
Ah, a little splitty there, Coney.
A little two-seam, yeah.
And that's in the World Series, no less. J.D. Martinez. Walked twice and singled.
Jim Thome told me one time in his country voice. Maybe Jerry Manuel was the manager, and he really had a Southern accent. And he said, had a big clubhouse thing. He said, sometimes, boys, to be a good hitter, you got to be dumb and forget things. Told me that's why you're a good hitter. He told me that story. I just like, what are you supposed to say?
Charlie Manuel then goes on to manage those terrific Phillies teams with Howard and Utley and Rollins and Cliff Lee and Cole Hamels and Roy Halladay. You didn't know if he was the manager of a world championship team or the mayor of Mayberry.
Wow, you look at Tommy Kahnle at 99. He has thrown some nasty changeups.
The American League reliever of the month for July. Lights out the entire month. 3-1 now to Martinez. Those are the stats that earned him that honor. Benintendi on deck. And Martinez is on. He's reached all 4 times, a single and 3 walks. So Benintendi, who got a 436-foot home run in Game 1 this afternoon, and tonight has struck out twice and then hit a bullet that was gloved by LeMahieu at first, and he turned it into a double play.
I'll tell you what that walk does, Coney, is it assures the turnover of this lineup. Even if you go 1, 2, 3 next inning, Mookie Betts is still going to get another at bat in that 9th inning.
Kahnle's 0-1 pitch. Misses high. Kahnle's 4-seamer averages around 97. He has hit triple digits on occasion. That one misses at 96. By the way, that's a very good big league fastball. How about this guy, Nathan Patterson? Did you hear about this kid?
Yes.
Hadn't played baseball at all since high school, 23 years old. Goes into one of those pitch measuring machines at Coors Field. The Speed Pitch Challenge, hits 96, and no joke, the Oakland A's hear about it and they sign him to a minor league deal. Rolled foul. 2-2.
That sounds like that'd be right up Billy Bean's alley.
Yeah.
Got to think outside the box, especially when you're short on the resources. And they're in the wild card mix. Not that young Patterson figures to be a factor this year.
Now that would be a story.
Huge. Benintendi strikes out. There's your game summary presented by your local Nissan dealer. And as Jack said, here's Gleyber Torres to start it. 0 for 5 in Game 1. Yanks didn't need him. They romped 9-2. 2 homers in this, a tight one. Fly ball to right. It could carry in that direction. Mookie at the wall, off the top of the wall. It ricochets away from him. Torres around second, and he'll stop. Missed that 3rd homer by a foot or 2.
This is where you make up your mind, and then you round second and you pick up the 3rd base coach. Again, a rolling curveball. Seems like it's
less than a foot. right at the top of the wall, inches. I'll amend that from a couple of feet to a couple of inches.
Yeah, where's Jeffrey Mayer when you need him?
Yes, right.
Now that wouldn't fly anymore. It helped Derek Jeter 23 years ago. With replay, you can't get away with it this time.
This ball gets a long way away with nobody out. We'll take a chance of getting thrown out at third base.
Aaron Hicks has singled twice and struck out. Matt Barnes deals and moves him away.
You know, as a hitter here, you have one job, and that is to pull the ball. So, you know, you inch a little bit closer to the plate where that ball away, you can still try to get around and pull it. And if you get jammed, you still pull the baseball and get the job done anyway.
Two and 0. Hicks has never had a hit off Matt Barnes. 0 for 7. Barnes grew up a Yankee fan in Connecticut. About an hour or so from the Bronx. Putting those past loyalties aside, as he brings home the 2-0 pitch. Called strike. Zach Britton in the Yankee pen. Man on second, so things slow down. Two and 2.
Well, 2 fastballs, 2-0, now 2-2 with 2 curveballs. Not afraid to throw this pitch behind in the count.
Hicks thought it had dipped low. Bruce Dreckman didn't agree.
Excellent depth on those curveballs, straight down with the break.
Full count.
Tony 2-0, 2-1, both curveballs. Now back to a full count. You would imagine he would not hesitate to throw that curveball here, 3-2.
I would if I were him.
Hicks lays off. They check at third. That's confirmed. 2 on, nobody out.
Yeah, 2 really good curveballs in the middle of that count, and then Hicks, patient as he is, see that leg kick, so much balance to be able to take these pitches. That's a lot of movement.
Well, the Yankee plan could be shaping up. Take the lead in the bottom of the 7th. Britton for the 8th. Chapman for the 9th.
Interesting to see here with Gio Urshela, 1 for 3 on the night. Is this a spot Aaron Boone would think about a sacrifice?
Yeah, it would not surprise me at all.
Boston not anticipating it as Devers way back at third.
Perhaps all the more reason to try it. No sign of the bunt. 98-mile-per-hour fastball taken high.
Yeah, I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. Runners are scoring position 352. Also winning game one. Kind of being on a roll now, feeling good. I mean, these are the things that goes into a manager's head. Let's just roll the dice and try to break this game wide open.
Now, first and second with nobody out, an entirely different situation than your old school man on first sacrifice bunt.
On the corner, 1-1.
Coney, I've always heard you say that you loved it when people would bunt. They were giving you an out. But in this case, when you could move those runners to second and third, you still feel the same?
No, this is the one time where you could consider it, especially as Bob said. I mean, they're leaving it wide open there for you.
Torres at second, Hicks at first, nobody out.
Now, Gio Urshela has had no sacrifice bunts in the last 2 seasons, so the question becomes, is this the matchup? Can he do it? Is this a pitcher easy to bunt on? And
Cameron Maben on deck. Line foul.
I can remember many times hitting third, Derek Jeter hitting second, where he would almost like drag bunt intentionally, without a sign. I mean, that's just the way he wanted to get it done. Also gave himself a chance to get a hit.
The 1-2 to Urshela. Barnes, like many relievers these days, maybe even most, has strikeout stuff, but these numbers are near the top end. 16.2 Ks per 9 innings in 47 appearances this year.
You almost have to guess. I mean, you're going to double up after that high fastball. Start a curveball at the same spot and try to get a swing and miss here.
In the air, wide of first. Holt over near the screen, and it's out of play.
Michelle is so good at just keeping these at-bats going. Both those pitches outside the strike zone. 98.
First time I've heard smoke on the water on an organ.
I think that a mound visit, he got stuck on the same chords. It just goes on and on.
I'm not so sure it works. The organ is a bouncy instrument, and smoke on the water is supposed to have an ominous feel, does it not?
Yeah, you would think.
Another 1-2 pitch. Blocked by Vasquez. Should a Yankee reach third, reminded of this when Vasquez blocked that last pitch in the dirt. Barnes has thrown 11 wild pitches this year. Urshela hangs in. And as you know, Coney, when a guy throws a lot of wild pitches, then the question is, what is the catcher willing to call with a man on third base? It kind of shrinks the repertoire, at least potentially.
And does the pitcher have confidence to go ahead and snap one off right on top of home plate to go for a strikeout?
Full count. Maben awaiting his chance. A penny for Alex Cora's thoughts. His world champions have lost 6 in a row. 4.5 out of the second wild card. 12.5 off the division lead.
This indecision, I mean, it's all about Urshela being able to foul off the fastball and take the curveballs in the dirt.
Poked, fair. Whoa, no, foul ball. Alfonso Marquez gave kind of a strange signal. Watch. Partly because he was jumping to get out of the way of it. Here's a wider. At first, he's motioning toward fair territory. And then he twists around and declares it a foul ball. In fairness, he had to skip rope a little bit just to avoid being hit.
The foul ball official call is usually hands straight up.
Hands straight up, yeah. Here comes the 10th pitch of the at-bat. And the bases are loaded. Something going on with the Astros and Mariners. Here's Bob Lorenz. Talk about sending a message right away after the trade was consummated. You think that doesn't get people's attention all around baseball, not just in the American League, because National League teams who are contenders are looking at the possibility of colliding with the Astros down the line.
And, of course, Biagini was involved in the no-hitter.
Absolutely.
Part of the same deal. There it is. You know, Davinsky's a guy you can overlook. When he's right, he's nasty.
T-Mobile connection to the game, and you know, a lot of walks in there. Yeah.
Doesn't count, right?
It's over 300 no-hitters.
I mean anything, Colin. It's a little overrated, right?
Only 23 perfect games.
That's right.
There you go. You know what Tom Verducci pointed out to me the other day? Ken Holtzman, the left-hander who pitched for the A's, pitched for the Yankees for a while, he threw a no-hitter, not a perfect game, a no-hitter for the Cubs without striking anybody out. Complete game no-hitter, no strikeouts. What are the odds of that? Back to the matter at hand. Bases loaded, nobody out. Maben has an RBI double, a walk and a strikeout. The pitching coach, Dana Levangie, paid a visit to the mound. And for now, they leave it in the hands of Matt Barnes. Colton Brewer isn't ready just yet, just got up. The infield is halfway. They can come to the plate if they have to, or if the play presents itself.
You think differently as a hitter here, Paul? Infield kind of halfway in. Think
Not
get
really.
the ball up, though.
Yeah,
Just hit the ball hard.
You just want to hit the ball hard, and you don't want to get to 2 strikes here. Workman has that strikeout kind of stuff. This is not where you want to be, because now your head starts spinning. Or Matt Barnes, I'm sorry, with strikeout kind of stuff. You wanted to get this done early in the count. Now you kind of got to spread out and just hope that you find a hole.
Torres, Hicks, and Urshela aboard for Maben. Well, he gets the strikeout, but he's still in some deep trouble.
You remember Maben, he was kind of rushed to action last week when they were down, and all of a sudden it looks like he's kind of going through that adjustment period now after coming off the IL with some swings like that, just timing not quite there yet.
And for Barnes, Coney, just what we were talking about, he wasn't afraid to bury that curveball. Maben chased it. Vasquez blocked it.
Yeah, right on top of home plate. Looked like it almost snuck through Vasquez, but he did a good enough job of corralling it.
Here's Tauchman, who's 1 for 3.
Again, we've talked on it and stressed how much better Tauchman has been since he's come up, and it's been because he's been much more aggressive early in the count. To see something happen here in the first couple pitches.
Breaking ball in there, a ball and a strike. Austin Romine on deck is 4 for 5 in his career against Matt Barnes. All 4 hits singles. The highest pitch count Matt Barnes has had in any outing this year is 36. He's approaching that.
Talk about a big hit pitch in the at-bat right here, Coney. 2-2-3-1. What a difference.
Tauchman finds the hole, and the Yankees take the lead. 2-run score as Torres and Hicks come across.
I'll tell you what, you see some emotion there. You don't think these guys care? Again, a tremendous at-bat. Mike Tauchman getting ahead in the count and being aggressive and finding a hole on the left side. Aaron Hicks just didn't even look at Phil Nevin. He was going to score. Another big hit with runners in scoring position for the Yankees. Curveball up in the strike zone. Just shoot it the other way. That's what takes you back to Little League, when you still see guys fired up about winning a baseball game. And you got to remember now, this is August. When you put that uniform on and you get those fans up and standing, it still gets to you.
Romine's 0 for 3 as he takes high.
There's been almost 95,000 fans come through today, so here in the 7th. And a split doubleheader.
And the Red Sox sticking with Matt Barnes. Brewer warming.
You got to believe the Red Sox. I mean, they're on the brink of their season here. I mean, it is getting that desperate. Tampa Bay already winning tonight. But you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to have to put together a long winning streak.
Well, they do have another shot at the Rays after they leave the Bronx. But the Rays just finished sweeping Alex Cora's team at Fenway. Pair of lefties, Britton and Tarpley.
More runs, you get Tarpley.
Yep. Romine sitting on a 3-1 pitch and taking the curveball for a strike.
You can almost sense Barnes starting to labor out there. It's not just about the pitch count, it's the high stress and the high leverage. Bases loaded. Been a tough inning all the way around.
In terms of pitches, it's now his longest outing of the year. Two runs home to snap the tie on the hit by Mike Tauchman. He's at first. Urshela's at second. Still only one out. They're loaded again. And finally, here comes Cora. For Alex Cora, it goes under the heading of what a difference a year makes.
Stick around after the final out for the WB Mason post-game show. Bob Lorenz and Jack Curry will have highlights and analysis, and I'll provide clubhouse reaction from tonight's game. Plus, I'll take a look ahead to tomorrow's series finale.
Okay, Meredith, we'll look forward to that. Yankees looking to send the Red Sox to their 7th consecutive defeat. And to more than negate what the Red Sox did in the first 3 games last weekend at Fenway. Yankees salvaged the last game. Red Sox got swept by the Rays. Yanks won on Friday, last night. Won the first game of the split doubleheader this afternoon. And closing in on a doubleheader sweep.
Yeah, when you play the same team in back-to-back weekends, you get to intimately know the bullpen pieces in today's game.
And that happens more and more with modern scheduling. Cubs and Brewers are doing it in the National League right now. Valera's 1 for 2 with a walk. Brewer was charged with a blown save on Tuesday against the Rays. Blown saves being part of the Red Sox problems this year. This game would not fall into that category. Matt Barnes didn't have it tonight. Two and one now to Valera. And the count evens. Urshela at third, Tauchman at second, Romine at first. 2 runs home in the Yankee seventh.
The Yankees now with 12 hits and 5 walks, 17 base runners in this game. Seems like with 2 strikes, it's been tough to put away the hitters. Another foul off with 2 strikes there. We've seen a lot of that.
A lot of good at-bats. To quote Boone, my guys are savages in the box. And another full count.
You should have trademarked it. I saw a lot of T-shirts saying the same thing.
Another long at bat. Brewer is not exactly the guy you want in a situation like this, at least statistically. 6 walks for every 9 innings of work. No place to put Valera. And another 3-2 pitch. Chopper, grabbed, pegged to the plate. There's one. And that's all they'll get. Holt to Vasquez for the force at home.
Big out by Brewer. I mean, he put it in play. Just could not get it over his head. That's the obvious play. You got to cut down every run that you can at this point. No thought of a double play.
So with the bases still loaded, here's LeMahieu. Hitting close to 340, well 337 to be exact as of the moment for the year, leading the league, and over 400 with runners in scoring position. How about that? With the bases loaded.
You're not going to find too many numbers offensively that aren't impressive from LeMahieu this year.
Across the board. Lifts this one to left center field. Benintendi goes back, not quite to the track. The Yankees leave the bases loaded, but they score twice to take a 6-4 lead to the 8th. So, Coney, since the Yankees didn't add on to their 6-4 lead, we do get Britton instead of Tarpley.
Zach Britton did good work last night. Had a heavy sinker going. Did not even go to the slider. 3 quick ground balls, and we were through the 8th.
Should be his 49th game on the season.
Once by consensus the best reliever in the American League, still pretty darn good, highest ground ball rate in the majors. But between October of 2015 and August of 2017, he converted 60 consecutive save opportunities. He faces Sam Travis to start the 8th. You know, with all the talk about how formidable the Astros appear to be, especially with their starting rotation, Britton had an interesting take. In 2014, he's with the Orioles. They faced the Tigers in the division series. Bouncing ball to short. Torres has it, and Travis is retired. So those Tigers have Verlander, Scherzer, and Price. And the Orioles sweep them. Britton bringing that up was his way of reminding people nothing is a done deal on paper.
I got to tell you, Conan, I just looked over here. The wind blew, paper blew. Bob grabbed it like, you got good hands, man. Just grabbed it like a fly out of the air, like it was nothing.
Comac cat.
Nice.
Pretty impressive.
The Comac High School South Spartans. We struck fear into all opponents. From Dix Hills, Smithtown.
Oh, you got people lighting up here from Long Island. Here in their towns, the high schools.
Hop Hog. Vasquez has a single and a double in 3 trips.
You know, the funny thing is, Conan, he could be making this all up. We don't even know.
No. Why would I do such a thing? And here's what you did. And every kid had some version of this. You're playing wiffle ball. The soundtrack in your head, Red Barber, Mel Allen. Tossing a football around, you're hearing Marty Glickman call Y.A. Tittle and Frank Gifford of the New York Giants. Basketball, first it was Marty who practically invented how to call a basketball game on the radio, and then his successor, the great Marv Albert. And I always figured I had a better chance to be up here than down there. That was my calculation.
Well, just since this is a perfect segue, I've been authorized by the Yes Network, Bob, to let you know that since you really helped us out in a pinch here and worked 2 games today, and probably are not going to get paid for it, so or at least
we didn't negotiate.
Didn't have time to negotiate. That the Yes Network's going to make a donation in your name.
There's a base hit for Vasquez, his 3rd of the night.
To one of your favorite charities, the Harlem RBI.
They do wonderful work. Mark Teixeira has been involved with them in a big way. Wonderful work.
So here, the Harlem RBI, great program. So happy to hear that you're involved with it, Bob. And
yeah, Rich Berlin heads it up, so dedicated. And obviously they give boys and girls a chance to play baseball and softball, but there are educational programs beyond that. Really worthwhile.
Well, we thank you very much for
it's been great.
Stepping in here and pinch hitting, and a long day. It's been, for Paulie and me, speaking for you, Paulie, it's been a real treat for us, Bob. Thank you.
Me too. Here's Brock Holt. Struck out as a pinch hitter in the 6th. Well, we got here a little after 10 this morning, and it's creeping up on 11. Let me ask you something, Paul. Have you ever checked your family tree, done that 23andMe or anything like that?
No. My brother did that stuff, but you know what I wanted to do?
What?
I wanted to do it twice just to see if they matched, if it means anything, you know?
Or if it's just a fraud?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I'm wondering, have you ever been curious if you were related to the playwright Eugene O'Neill?
You know what? I know I'm related to Mark Twain.
Really?
Yes, through the Clemens side. Married Mary Clemens or something like that. But I've never heard that Eugene O'Neill.
Well, this is a Eugene O'Neill deal. This has been a long day's journey into night.
So isn't that a theater, too? Isn't there a Eugene O'Neill
Yes, there
theater?
is. Absolutely there is on Broadway. Well, so much for that strange interlude.
I have to look into it. Spelled the same way, 2 L's?
I'm going to check on that.
All right. We'll get an answer.
I'm trying to picture the marquee above the theater.
Yeah.
2 L's. Yeah, 2 L's. And Britton's 3-2 pitch Vasquez running. He can slow up. Holt's got the walk.
Well, Coney, you've said it many times. The only problem Zach Britton ever has is if he hits too much movement on this fastball. And right now it's, outside the strike zone.
So Travis grounded out to start the inning. Then Vasquez singled the opposite way. Holt walked. Tying runs are on. Marco Hernandez has a double, a walk, and a strikeout tonight.
And Paul, you mentioned that top of the order lurking for the Red Sox, so dangerous. Mookie Betts now on deck here, looking to bat here in the 8th, unless Britton can roll one up here.
The Red Sox have left-handed hitters Jackie Bradley Jr. and Mitch Moreland on the bench, and their backup catcher tonight, Sandy Leon, who's a switch hitter. But in a DH game, that's less of a consideration. There's Moreland. Inside 2-0.
Like Hernandez taking all the way there. Going to make Britton throw a strike. Murray Rothschild's going to go out and try to figure out how to get him calmed down. That brings you back, doesn't it, Coney? Mound visit.
It does, and you can see, whatever he said is almost irrelevant. It's just about trying to get him to slow down, as you said. Take a breath, regroup. Slow your tempo down. Like with anything in sports, it's about tempo. Whether you swing a golf club or throw a baseball or just about anything athletic that you do, really comes down to rhythm and tempo.
Appeared to be taking all the way, and there's strike one. Betts on deck. Vasquez at second, Holt at first. And Hernandez cuts and misses.
See that two-seam action. It's just the movement on that. You don't understand the velocity. And to get that kind of movement, you just don't see it.
Late movement.
And the 2-2 pitch. Slow bouncer. Can they turn two? The flip for one, and that's all. Not hit sharply enough for the double play.
Wow, this sets up a big at-bat. One of the game's premier relievers against one of the game's premier hitters. Get the sure out, but not out of it yet with Mookie Betts coming to the plate.
Mookie's 1 for 4. The one was a fourth-inning single that drove home 2. There you see his history against Zach Britton. The one hit was a home run.
Well, I tell you what, if you're Mookie Betts and you're looking around the field, you have to notice this. With that shift, a 16 hopper is going to get through the right side.
Vasquez way down the line at third. Ball one outside. Devers on deck.
If I'm Britton, stay away. Just keep the sinker away from him. And if he does take your advice and hit the ball the other way, you still have a one-run lead. The last thing you want is to elevate and give him a chance to get the bat head out and hit a 3-run homer here.
One of the quicker bats inside, Coney. You've talked about it at Fenway Park. He's always been able to get to that ball inside.
Trust your sinker. Throw it down and away in the strike zone.
Up and away. 3-1.
Whatever happens at this point, this is Britton's inning. Nobody up in the bullpen.
That may change shortly. Betts takes strike two. So Hernandez will be off from first. He's the tying run. Vasquez at third. And the 3-2 pitch to Mookie Betts. The bases are loaded.
Well, with ball four, that tying run moves to second base, which is a dangerous thing. Zach Britton, most of the hits he gives up, ground balls that find a hole, which would score two at this point.
That was the 12th walk in this game, 6 for each team.
Long counts, close games, long at bats. That adds up to a 4-hour game.
Which we are certain to surpass. Devers had a homer back in the third. There goes Rafi again. Exhale, close the eyes, think positive thoughts. Get back in the box.
The first breaking ball you've seen and a nasty one. Now you put yourself in a position where Devers has got to be a defensive hitter at this point.
He wasn't looking for that one.
No.
Fans looking for Britton to finish him off. Just to make it official, they toss to first. The Red Sox leave the bases loaded. Devers chased. And the threat goes down the drain.
Well, bases loaded. Zach Britton comes in and threads the inside corner with that super sinker and then goes to the slider. Locks up Devers. And then the perfect complement. Go down and out of the zone with the same slider and get a 3-pitch strikeout. Big at-bat in the game. And Britton breaks out another weapon. That slider, which he's not known for, but increasingly has become a real weapon for him.
Well, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't clean, but ultimately a 0 went up on the board. As the Yankees look for additional breathing room, it'll be Judge, Torres, and Hicks in the bottom of the 8th. Aaron had a first inning single. He's 1 for 4. Brandon Workman out of the bullpen.
Workman done a good job. Strikeouts, opposing average against 109. 17 hits in 47 innings. Impressive numbers.
The good, that 109 batting average against is the best in the majors for those facing as many as 100 batters for the season. The bad, his 6 walks per 9 innings are the most in the majors for those who have hurled 40 innings or more. Curveball is laced to center field. Second hit of the night for Aaron Judge. Some positive signs.
Yeah, you really got to be patient if you're Aaron Judge. And you can't read the papers and you can't listen to the radio that you haven't hit a home run. You've got to be patient to know that if you have enough good swings, as strong as he is, he's going to hit some home runs. But good swings result in base hits, too. That's a good one right there, right up the middle.
It brings up Gleyber Torres, who has 2 home runs and narrowly missed a third. For the Red Sox in the 9th, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Bogarts, Martinez, and Benintendi. Rolled to short. Bogarts shovels it over to Hernandez, and they complete the double play as Holt holds the bag.
Bob, we've been over this numerous times, how the game has changed by one rule. In the old days, you're not sitting in there comfortable with Aaron Judge going in there. Today, you can protect yourself for that base and turn the double play.
Well, now Brett Gardner's going to get an at-bat.
You know, the part of the strategy here is, and just knowing from my limited experience as a reliever, is that Chapman just started throwing. And usually a reliever like Chapman gets up with 1 out, or once the leadoff runner gets on, the quick double play. You know, this pinch hitter and Gardner taking his time, and you saw Josh Ward on the phone there. Give this guy a few more throws down there.
So Gardner has to be announced, and now he takes a few practice swings. And obviously he can play center field, so he'll just be plugged right in for Aaron Hicks defensively, as well as taking this at bat.
He wouldn't be surprised to watch him take that first pitch, too.
Which he just did.
You know, Chapman's got a very definitive routine. He throws the weighted ball for several throws and then kind of eases into his routine.
Chris Siegel at third base. Hangs strike 2 on Gardner. on a line to Bogarts at short, and that is that. So the Yankees and Chapman take a 2-run lead to the 9th. Looking to close out their 3rd straight win in this series, their 4th in a row over the Red Sox, dating back to last Sunday at Fenway. The Yankees bring on Chapman. He is no longer invincible, but he's still their guy at the back end.
These are important outings for Chapman. Last night got through a nice clean inning. They've gone through a little rough stretch. Now you kind of build on it. Back-to-back nights of saves against the Red Sox would definitely help.
While we have a moment, the game tomorrow night is the ESPN Sunday night game, so it won't be on Yes. Tomorrow night is the birthday of beloved cameraman Jack Williams, just off to our right. Works the games on Yes and works with me and John Smoltz, sometimes Jim Cott. There's Jack on the MLB Network. Tom Verducci on occasion.
Wave, Jack. There you go.
Happy birthday, Jack. There you go. Jack and Jackie, our stage manager.
No, Jack, you play your cards right. We go 1, 2, 3. You'll be home for your birthday. If not, you might be spending it here.
Bogarts is 0 for 4. Began game 2 of the doubleheader, hitting .313. Gardner, as expected, stays in the game and assumes Hicks's position in center field. Two and one. Chapman has been supplanted as the hardest throwing pitcher in the majors by a number of guys. Jordan Hicks, who now has to have Tommy John surgery for the Cardinals, was hitting 105, 106 on occasion. Hit sharply but foul. 2-2.
Yeah, and we've seen the continued evolution of Chapman, throwing more and more sliders, understanding the need to get a little more creative, a little more unpredictable. Might see one here.
I was going to say, it's almost set up. He feels good about it to go to that slider. About another fastball in.
The fastball hits 100. Bogarts lifts it to right, and Maben puts it away. One out of the ninth. J.D. Martinez has reached all 4 times, a single and 3 walks.
Well, with Martinez's power, obviously a huge out. But that leadoff guy, don't allow Martinez to be the tying run, one swing of the bat.
Triple digits again. Here comes the 370th pitch of this game. He's hit exactly 100 on his last 3 pitches.
You know, it really has never been more difficult to be a home plate umpire than in today's game. It's the last bastion for arguments from players and managers with instant replay. And the degree of difficulty higher than it's ever been.
Chapman got the save last night in the 4-2 Yankee win. We've moved into August. July was not kind to him. He blew 3 of 7 save opportunities, and his ERA was over 8.
Yeah, it came down to walks. He was walking a few too many people.
Well, Martinez has already walked 3 times tonight. The count goes to 3-1 on him. And Chapman loses him. So he's reached all 5 times, 4 walks and a single. And now Benintendi, who was struck out 3 times and lined into a double play.
Benintendi had a big at bat off Chapman last night. You remember he got him on a 3-2 slider. He just fooled him. But early in the count, he was able to turn on that fastball. And you'll see a lot of times when somebody hits that fastball, Chapman goes straight to that slider.
Benintendi came up there intent on tying it. He had his 12th homer of the season in the first game of this doubleheader. Sam Travis is on deck. Well, now he ups it a notch to 101. You know, sometimes you get the feeling if Chapman was asked to pitch in a snowstorm, he'd still be dripping sweat.
It's the only one I know that when it's hot, it's still got the turtleneck and the long sleeves on to keep it warm. That was the first slider he's thrown. Benintendi way out in front.
Struck him out. 1 out from a doubleheader sweep.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to last night as a hitter. You remember how you struck out, and it was on a slider when he went to the fastball up and away. Good job by Romine doing the same thing by changing the way you get a good hitter out, and that's 101 by you.
It's a great point. He had to have that slider from last night on his mind.
What a game for Benintendi. After a homer in game 1, 4 strikeouts, and the one time he hit the ball hard, he lined into a double play. So now it's Travis. 1 for 3 with a walk and a stolen base. Hasn't played all that much. As you see, he has 2 home runs.
I think that Aaron Boone knows what's coming. The flags are starting to whip around. If all goes right, Chapman will get this out here.
Chapman is the 13th pitcher used in this game. 7 for the Yanks, 6 for the Red Sox. If Travis passes the baton, Christian Vasquez, who's 3 for 4, would be next. Bounce toward third. It's a foul ball.
Good way to keep your arm loose. Just go ahead and throw it anyway. But again, Chapman going back to the slider. You put yourself in a position. Fans on their feet.
Well, any pitch could be the last. We've passed the 4-hour mark. We're at 4:01. And that is that.
You see Chapman at 102, and that's back-to-back nights, and that's a big pick-me-up for the Yankees, for their confidence. To sweep a doubleheader this time of the year when Boston is hanging on for dear life. Big day for the Yankees and for David Cone tonight. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, David. That was great. Really enjoyed it. So the Yanks sweep the day-night doubleheader, and tomorrow night they'll go for the series sweep.
Complete reversal of last weekend in Fenway, where the Yankees found themselves on Sunday trying to avoid a 4-game sweep. Now this weekend, the Red Sox in the same spot.
Boy, that's that confident stare again, Coney. You can only hope that Chapman has found what was ailing him.
So we'll step aside for just a moment. If you have any thoughts that we haven't tossed out there already, we'll try and come up with them after this.